Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Metaverse Nomads podcast, where we discuss our favorite play-to-earn games as well as the greater metaverse in general. Today, we have a lot to talk about. So much has happened in the past week. Joining me today are my fellow Metaverse Nomads. Jesse, how was your week?
It's a good week, man. I'm still here in Mexico, my last week here. Then I'll be in the States for a bit. But been a good week, and as you mentioned, tons of news all around the metaverse.
Yeah, I love that background, man. That's awesome. Ray, how was your week?
It was a pretty hectic one, but you gotta keep pushing forward and show up, because at the end of the day, that's what you gotta be. You gotta show up, and that's where the opportunities are.
All right, Ray. Thanks for
First part of
being
the
here. And
Thanks,
the
guys.
Metaverse Nomads have your back. Bonafide, how you doing this week?
Doing amazing, man. Just got back home last night and, ready to get this week started, so I'm excited. Let's do it.
Very good. Fancy, how about yourself?
Excited to be back. Thank you for having us, guys.
Very good. Also joining the Nomads today is HippoCryptic, a name what many know in the Twitter sphere, especially related to Star Atlas. You can find her at HippoCryptic. She's also known as Ash. Ash, how you doing today?
I'm doing really good. I'm excited to be here.
Fantastic. Well, Ash, we always start when we have a guest. We get people invested in our guests, so we'd like to learn a little bit about you.
Okay.
I think you're already prepared for this. You've already put yourself out there in Twitter Spaces. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into doing the Twitter Spaces that you do, and what kind of games you play. Tell the world about HippoCryptic.
Tell the world about HippoCryptic. What's so funny is, and I really need to change my name because there's a lot of people that kind of feel uncomfortable calling me Hippo.
It's the easiest nickname.
It was originally done as a joke. Like, I was joking around with some larger crypto Twitter influencer, and it just kind of, I never changed it, and it kind of spiraled, and then my account started growing, and then all these people are calling me Hippo, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really need to change this. So I'll probably be changing it to Ashes soon.
All right, that's great.
It's certainly more fitting.
Yeah, it's a little more fitting than Hippo, but I do like hippos, so but yeah, so I guess a little bit about me. I used to work in the entertainment industry a little bit. I was a represented agency reps, actor for a little bit. I did commercials, and I did a lot of stuff on really, really early YouTube, like really back in the day. I used to work with Maker Studio, and so back in the day, that was the OG production house of YouTube. I used to do stuff with Ray Williams Johnson and the Game Station when they were back on, before they went to Twitch, before Maker Studio got sold to Disney. They actually were sold to Disney a few years after I stopped working with them. But so that's how I kind of, I guess, got comfortable in front of the camera, right?
Right.
And then let's see. So yeah, I got interested in the crypto space in 2017. Got involved in that. I didn't really know what I was doing back then. I just kind of jumped in. There's some people that I really respect that always, talk so highly about Bitcoin. And when people that are really intelligent and they're talking about this stuff and you respect them highly, you have to jump in and see what is going on. And so I kind of did that, and that's how I got into the crypto space. Oh, I'm sorry. I also used to do stuff in the gaming industry.
Okay.
So that's how this all ties into.
Right.
Sorry, I'm all over the place this morning.
No, that's fine.
I've had a little too much coffee. But so I used to also do brand ambassadorships for Nintendo back in the day. And we used to work the E3 conventions. And that's kind of where I got exposed to all the games in the gaming industry. And I got my first taste of it, right? I always played games when I was little because growing up, I was the only girl in a really large family. And in order to, you wanted to play with the other kids and the boys were all playing games, you adapt. And so I started playing games. Probably the first ones I remember playing was Sega. So, Sonic the Hedgehog and Nintendo, Mario Brothers, Mortal Kombat, that kind of stuff. That's kind of where I got my start. Yeah. I'm not the hugest hardcore gamer, but I do really enjoy playing them for the social aspect. Some of my favorites are, Halo, Gears of War, what is it? Call of Duty's fun. I'm not that great. I don't always survive. but I do really enjoy them. So
Awesome.
yeah, that's always fun. But so yes, then I jumped into crypto in 2017. Didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't do great, but I didn't get wrecked. So after that that crash, I got out right before the crash, and then I started getting into social media marketing. I was working in fashion marketing a little bit on other platforms, and that kind of led me to, I've always believed in the blockchain space, and I've always been really interested in the blockchain space, and that kind of led me to looking into digital fashion and the NFT space. And I remember right around the COVID crash, for the COVID crypto crash, is when I got back in. It was like right after that. And I was actually researching digital fashion and this metaverse, the idea of the metaverse. I was in a Luxo Discord chat, and someone had shared a link for Star Atlas, and they were saying, and this was back in like July, I believe, and they were saying, this is an incredible project, like check it out. And so I started looking into it, and then I came across the collab they were doing, the Ooster collab they were doing with the Fabricant.
Right.
I was just like, I was blown away, right? And so I started trying to learn as much as I could. I was listening to all of the interviews that Michael was doing. I listened to some things from Jason Silva, and like, he is an incredible speaker when you hear him talk. And I mean, when I came upon Star Atlas, like, it literally was just marrying all these worlds that I loved, right? I love the gaming industry and the gaming world. I love sci-fi and space. Like, that's always been a huge part of me growing up and who I was. And so it just it was the first project that I could really envision what the metaverse was and what it could be. And I think the vision that the team has and what they're building is just absolutely incredible. And so that's how I kind of stumbled upon Star Atlas. And then I remember attending the town halls, and there's just so much incredible information in there. And I'm also, I'm pretty into the Solana ecosystem and the community as well. And there was a lot of people that were really interested in the project, but they didn't really know too much about it. And they weren't attending the town halls at that point, right? They were really small when I first joined, compared to what they are today, the town halls, at least the attendance. And so I just wanted to try and, I started making the town hall recaps. And so I wanted to try and give something to get the information out there to try and help more people understand, maybe in like a shorter format, a little bit more like bullet points, right? So I started making the town hall videos, and everybody seemed to really like them, and it was great. And then we started doing these Twitter spaces recently, which have been absolutely incredible. Like, I just remember there was one day where Santi was like, we're not having a town hall this week. I'm like, well, I just got accepted for the, to be able to do Twitter spaces. So let's hop on and let's do it. And it was totally spur of the moment. And there was just so many people that were like, yeah, let's do it. This is a great idea. And so we just hopped on and we started talking with the guilds, and they were sharing, things about them and connecting amongst each other. And just the past 4 have just evolved and grown, and it's been really, really cool. We've had some really cool people pop in. I don't know if you guys heard, but we've had the president of Time Magazine popped in.
Wow.
Like, not this past one, but the one prior. And he came up I pulled him up on stage, and he was just so interested in the project and everything that they're building. And so I let him ask his questions, and everybody answered his questions. And I think afterwards he actually went and talked to Michael, and he told me that he is incredibly blown away and really excited about this project. And so I think when you see like these really important like people in these high positions, and they're super amped about what's being built here, I think it really shows the what's the word, like the scale of what they're building. Like, there's just so much mass interest in this project. I think it's incredible. But yeah, so that's kind of how the Twitter spaces started. And then we had a really epic one the other night where we just jumped on right after the special announcement town hall, and Mike joined us and Santi, and like we just chatted for 2.5 hours about everything.
That's
it was
wonderful.
really
No,
cool.
I think you definitely seized the moment with that Twitter space, because I caught that first one and it went off really well, very well done.
Yeah.
and it was like a proper moment because nothing else was going on as far as Star Atlas for that moment, and you jumped right in there, and yeah, kudos to you.
Yeah, and I was so. Can I just say I was so nervous because I'd never done a space before.
I remember, yeah.
So excited. I was like, "This is awesome," and I get to connect with you guys on a whole nother level now because normally it's just through tweeting, but it's just so different when you get to hear everybody's voice. It's just a whole nother way of connecting, and it was just great. You know, it was a really awesome experience. They've been great experiences so far.
What's been your take on the kind of the relationship between the guilds and the community?
Between the guilds and the community. I mean, I think that the guilds are incredible. I think that what you guys are building it's insane. Like if you go in, because I'm friends with multiple guilds at this point, right? I have a neutral relationship with a lot of you guys. And when you go in and you're talking and chatting with some of the people in their discords, or just even like watching what you guys are building and creating from outside, like it's incredible. And I don't think people on the outside community really understand, because a lot of people are like, well, the game's so far off, like there's not that much happening right now, but there really, really is so much happening, like behind the scenes with the guilds. You guys are building your own token systems, you know, like you're building your own, some of them are building their own NFTs, like there's so much building and planning, and then you have the UMO and the alliances being formed and all this stuff. Like it's really incredible to see and be a part of.
And you're going to remain neutral for how long? At what point are you actually going to participate and join somebody?
I don't know.
When are you going to tell these people that you're part of Rome?
Don came and Ardo was totally giving me grief about this yesterday too.
we got snapshots. We got snapshots behind the
scenes. I don't know. For right now, I'm really enjoying the position that I have.
Sure.
Control of all of you guys. I would be afraid that if I were to join somebody, I don't know if it would negatively affect my relationship with other people. And I really love the relationship that I have. I hope that it wouldn't, going forward if I do decide to join a guild. But do you guys think that would be an issue? I'm curious.
I have to be honest with you. I think that I've always respected you being neutral, because there is a niche for a neutral sort of reporter. Right. A person who talks about the news, who's not affiliated with the guild. And your first Twitter space, you kind of showcased all the guilds, and so you already kind of filled that niche. So, I respect you being neutral, and I think it's not necessarily a bad idea. Obviously, when you want to go ahead and admit that you're part of Rome, then that'll be respected as well.
I do love what Rome is building. Like I come from an Italian family, so I think that's awesome.
Very nice. Yes.
Well,
but I would like to add,
Content Creators Guild.
Yeah, we are. We have a lot of content creators in this guild, no doubt about it.
That's facts.
Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, I would just like to add, like, if and when you decide to choose any guild, it's such a nascent space, and we're so early that over time people would forget anyways. It's not like everyone's gonna hold a pitchfork with your face on it saying, "Traitor, she was supposed to be with XYZ club, but she joined Rome." So I wouldn't stress that if you decided now or within like the next 3 months or even year or two, it wouldn't even matter.
This is the moment when Ash realizes.
I will keep that in mind.
This is the moment when Ash realizes this was really just a hard sales pitch to get her out of the show. But I think there's an opportunity for you to present yourself as kind of a tribunal, right? You could make your own little small guild and be the intermediator for everybody, right? There's an opportunity for you to create your own little space in the metaverse and kind of be the judge between the different guilds.
I mean, that's a really
the room is there.
Yeah.
And it would be awesome if there was more females on your side. So I'm thinking, although we have the United Nations of Star Atlas, but it depending on what happens and how that all formulates and who joins and doesn't join or how it breaks up, I don't know. You can have your own entity like the tribunal that the Banjo just mentioned, and name it what you want, and you could grow out just theory crafting here, but that could be an important cornerstone of just how everything continues to function in or outside of the politics of the game itself. So it's gonna be pretty cool.
I think that's a cool idea too. We
Are
do
you
definitely
willing?
need more women in this space. Definitely.
For sure.
I'm trying.
Yeah, you're
I
doing great.
recently onboarded my sister into the Solana ecosystem. So next is the Star Atlas ecosystem.
Awesome.
Very good. Very good. So have you bought any ships yet?
I do have some ships, mainly from the first round. I have about like 9 of them, I think, right
Oh,
now.
That's
So
good.
I have a little stash.
Sure.
That's okay.
But like all the new ones coming out are just so incredible. Like every time I see these new images, I'm just completely blown away. Right? Like is it the chi? Like that's
I
the
love
one
the
that's
chi.
the liquid metal. That one is incredible.
I posted that in our Discord because it reminds me of Flight of the Navigator, right? Like I don't know, I'm probably aging myself here, but that was an old movie from Disney where
Yeah.
this alien spaceship came in
I
and
love
it could
that
like
movie.
morph. Yeah,
Yeah.
it could morph, and that ship. And you look at the description, it can morph. So it's literally, I think they probably took it from that idea.
And the design of it is pretty cool too. I mean, they designed it in such a way that the side view is exactly the same as the top view. It actually has that interesting shape configuration. Pretty cool design.
Yeah.
I get Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, now I was just gonna say I get Terminator vibes when the cop is just chasing
That's
down
exactly what
and
I
too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just
totally has
adapts to any
Terminator vibes to it,
situation.
right?
You slips through cracks, and it's just like we'll see.
And the fact how like it seems that there's no it's totally smooth, and then you go to the other image and you see these weapons popping out on all the stuff. Like it's incredible.
Definitely a buy. And that picture
water
right there, you see
control.
kind of like the kind of the drips coming off of the back of it, like it's
Yeah. It has this full liquid vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm
Liquid
so
metal.
all about it.
Silver
It's so
Surfer.
cool.
Get ready.
Yeah.
Did you see that cockpit shot where the person's got their arm up and they're like navigating with water?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
That one right there.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's mind blowing. These images, like they're so cool.
Yeah.
I literally want to be in them.
Yeah. We'll see. VR soon.
Yeah.
So
this
this
is a good
last ship
segue.
drop that definitely gave me FOMO for real. Like there's
Yeah, no
several
doubt
that I want
about
to buy.
Well, this is a good segue. Maybe Fancy can kind of run us through some Star Atlas stuff, and we can all have a talk about it. You guys good with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fancy, why don't you kind of lead us through the different pictures you put up there, and let's see what we got with Star Atlas this week.
So a lot of pictures were dropped this week. One of the most impressive ones, in my opinion, were this one because it just puts everything into perspective, like everything they're working on, and it's a lot easier to pick a favorite when you have a picture like this.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? What do you guys like?
I was surprised. I'll say most of this I knew and I had seen, like the Tegu, and I think we had seen on ArtStation some of the little bipedal aliens. The one that I was surprised was the one that's like rock and mechanical. Those caught me off guard. But having seen some of the ships that are coming, and I think it's Tifu, maybe.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
You know what manufacturer who created those ships. I mean, there's some sort of rock mechanical alien, which I think is pretty novel. I haven't seen that before.
Well, we saw it in the trailer.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The thing we thought was a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
the Tufa Feist is that ship.
Yeah. Ash, you were saying?
Oh no, I was gonna say that ship. It kind of the one that like comes out of the rocks, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Ash?
Definitely one of the cooler ones.
Oh
I
yeah.
want to know which one is the blue alien from the trailer, because that's the one I identify with the most. No.
Well, I seem to recall Wagner or Bunty is saying that was a hybrid. That was like a human alien hybrid that I don't think is represented here, but I think it's probably a mashup of the two center ones there.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I can get down with that. But yeah, no, this is really cool. I dig the Oni species for sure. So this was really cool to see.
Yeah, one of the cool things about it being a hybrid is in the trailer. Like they talk about having to go like find her father like died ages ago, and she has to go find him, and that's like the human half. Yeah, I just think that's a cool little.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So there's going to be all these subspecies coming out. Like that's so awesome.
Yeah. The potential of breeding was also talked about in the Foundation room at one, or just in the Discord in general. But Bentus, he entertained it, but it wasn't something that was like going to be solidified as a part of the game. Maybe further down the line, but it was just an idea.
Well, it stands to reason if you have traits with different species and you can hybridize them, that's just like Axie, where you're breeding Axies, and maybe you can start breeding different crewmates and stuff like that.
Yeah, put them on dates. Can't go anywhere else. Can't get out the ship. They just
love connection.
It puts a whole new meaning to these metaverse bar ideas, right?
Yeah, for sure. I get flashbacks from Mass Effect, and it's in all those the different games of Mass Effect, and how the decisions you make alter how someone even feels about you, or the storyline and how it changes, and the outcomes that take place. So, multiple different relationships you could have been had depending on how you answer the particular, question. So we'll see. It's definitely something that will happen in one game or another. So, in the metaverse.
I think Ash just willed it into reality. The breeding game loop starts in a tavern, right? That's where.
Yeah, I think so. That seems to be like the right place for it. No?
Right. But
yeah,
personally,
and shout out to Chipto watching. He's one of the newer members of the Star Atlas team.
Yes,
so,
right.
Congratulations.
Fantastic! Thanks for joining.
That's right. They gave Chip a shout out, right, during the town hall.
Yeah.
Great job, Chip, for all your hard work. We appreciate it.
Yeah, Chip.
Yeah, and this is shameless, but you're more than welcome to join us live anytime you want, Chip.
Yeah. But thanks, Chip. I think I seen a comment last week, and usually people just say stuff before it's confirmed or that we have knowledge of. So we were just like, he might or might not be a person with the team, but now we know for sure.
So, everyone else, what's your favorites? Have we gone through
of the new ship?
Talking ships, or
no,
what?
of those alien the
Oh,
pictures.
the aliens. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Yoda fan, so I like the little ones. That's
I need more time, but I would like to see how the whole photo here is going to be filled out with different characters, because on both left and right side it seems like there's more space for different different types of characters to be shown.
For sure.
Somebody asked in the Foundation room if the littlest alien could ride the Tegu, and the answer that they gave was it's not necessarily out of the question. So you might be able to ride a Tegu someday.
I think that would be super cool.
Well, I thought the Tegu was like in a gaseous form.
Oh, the art kind of demonstrated that with the tail, right? It kind of had like this perception of jumping in and out of space or something, right?
Right.
Maybe it'll have like this aura around it, like this gas aura or something.
Yeah. Act like a shield, maybe. You never know.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of like the taller of the alien species. Not sure quite which one, but the more humanoid looking ones, not necessarily the Photali.
Yeah.
I imagine it'd be a bit different playing Photoli, just floating around everywhere. I'm quite happy with the only pick, especially the one with like the tail head. I think it's the Myres or something like that.
My question about the Photali, if these are light beings, what do they need a ship for anyway?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Where they're going by blinking.
I didn't even think about that. I guess you're right.
I think there's some lore. I think there's some lore where they were trying to experience life in corporeal form or something like that. To relate. I could be wrong, but that's what.
No, you're right on that, Banjo. Yeah, no, that was something along those lines. I can't remember exactly, but you're right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think is interesting about the Ooster too, because they seem to be the ones most intrigued about fashion. I don't think they're getting it right. All over the place.
Give them some time, they'll work it out. No.
Right.
And they're said to be very spiritual. So it sounds like this AI that finally gains sentience and it's trying to discover who it is and its place in the universe.
Yeah, the idea of an AI trying to discover God, I think it has a really big story arc that could be told throughout the metaverse. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you take it back to like Star Trek, right? Like Data was like the most interesting person in the whole series, right? So,
and it just so happens to start with fashion. So, enlightenment is soon after.
Well, what do you think the fashion's going to be on that rock guy? I mean, is it like maybe gemstones or something. You see fashion is pretty apparent on the Ooster, and you can see how it'll show up on the humans. But what about on the Patoli or the Rock Dude?
The Rock Dude's going to rock some moss.
There you go.
And that's interesting too when it comes to the jackets we bought and the shirts or the scarves and the buttons. Like, could only a strap, get thrown over a shoulder on the Rock guy, and then you put the buttons on it. Like, how do these apply? And then the rings, what type of hands? Are there any fingers? Or the necklaces? How does it even fit? Like, that's what goes through my head.
Sounds like a no shit moment for a designer. What did we do?
Back to the drawing board. We got to figure that one out.
Delay. It's 4 to 6 weeks. Come back tomorrow.
4 to 6 weeks.
Oh man, but
timelines are not solid. Fancy, what do you got for us, man?
Yeah, so also they released more pictures last week of loads of ships, but we're going to go back through them from their price.
But Fancy, sorry to interrupt, and everyone, before we start, I do have, as you guys know, I do have to leave at 2:15 on the East Coast here in New York. So if we're going to go over news, can we cover Axie real quick, just so, because there was some developments there, and then we could jump right back in to Star Atlas.
Yeah, that's great, Ray.
Awesome. Great. So I'm going to share my screen here and go through this real quick. And there was a development update that took place and was released on December 9th. And it has lots of information. You can check them. We're not going to have the link for you, but you can go on the Twitter page or on the website itself and via the info tab, check it all out. It's very in-depth and up-to-date with what's going on in the Axie world. If you have any Axies yourself, play the game or have scholarships, it's worth the read. But just over the past month, 500,000 new Axies holders came into Lunasia, right? The metaverse of Axie Infinity, and they're approaching 3 million daily active users. So it's great. It's just the charts go up, and I don't know if you guys have anything to say about that, but I don't see it slowing down at all. And all these other games are going to be seeing a lot of just people coming in, like Dayton's Arena. I think they broke or close to 5 million now. So incredible numbers. People want to play games. So, and then for the Ronin blockchain, which is the side chain of Ethereum that Sky Mavis created for Axie Infinity with the help of DeFi Digital, it's having 4x the amount of daily transaction than Ethereum is. And this was all from the 9th of December. So it's surpassing the transactions by 4 times of what Ethereum is. And that's remarkable. And it's not even an active chain yet until 60 or 55 more days, as you're able to provide liquidity to both Ethereum and SLP, AXS and SLP to Ethereum pairs. And you could earn RON, which are going to be the equivalent of Ethereum for all signing of transactions. So keep your eye out for that. We don't know what the market cap is, but there's 100 million coins that are going to be given to LP providers. Or no, total, the max supply of Ronin tokens will be 100 million. So that's great. And this is the Project Kingdom. So Project K was what it was called at the time on the website when you log in onto your dashboard to play in the arena mode. And everyone was curious, but sure enough, last year, December, this time there was a 7-day alpha land play. And this was one of my Arctic plots that I was also having to put items on to take part in a competition of decorating your land plot. So it was out of top 5, I placed 5th, and I won a Coin Gecko trophy item. So that's pretty cool. So I was proud of myself. And this is the before, and here we are with the after when it comes to the setting up and placing where you'd want everything. As your Axies can roam free, you can, there's plenty of video on YouTube to see actual game footage, but it was very rudimentary, and you could just you would have to walk. It's tedious to just click every time you wanted to harvest a new stone or a piece of wood. So they've come a long way, I'm sure.
So with what we're looking at right here, is this decorative or is any of this functional? Like,
that was my question as well.
Nothing was functional, just place, and it was pretty buggy. So every let's say I would place this wooden stump here, like something would disappear on the opposite side. So just to get everything down, down without disappearing was the work. Like it took over 7-8 hours for myself. I called out of work and I'm just like, no, I'm gonna decorate this plot. So I stood the course and I persevered. And
That's
there
how
we
real
go.
gamers do it, man. We call off
That's
of work
it,
so we
man.
can play these games, man. That's how we do it.
Never
Been there, done that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Many times.
Doctor's note. Here you go.
So,
Uh,
so another question for you here. So I can see the roads there and people own the other plots that are next to it. So a person that doesn't own any land, they come into the game, they're cruising down the road, they see a plot there. What is the nature of engagement? Is there going to be something there that they're going to harvest and they get a portion and you get a portion? Is that the model?
So no, if you have a land plot and then someone needs to either take a shortcut to cut through to a different location, because it's possible to do that, they're gonna then drop any rewards, or it could be whatever it is. I don't know what they've decided, but there's gonna be a faucet drop of what you might have already acquired from dungeon diving, or resources that you have on your persons in your bag. They would drop very slowly over the course of you traveling over people's land. So no one can steal or harvest off of anyone else's land, any items, but you can walk through anyone's plots to get diagonally towards a dungeon before going to the 2-hour route on the main road, which is a much slower.
But you're going to pay a toll. Of some
Exactly.
sort.
Yeah, a constant toll, I guess. I don't know what the drop rate is, but that's why you want to strategically buy your plots, maybe in different biomes. So now you have a place to camp, to drop off your items. So you're not traveling over people's land, but the land itself is you're gonna be able to harvest AXS token. So you're gonna be first dibs at that. I don't know if there'll be a timer until someone can take, because there's going to be a lot of plots that people can't manage themselves. There's some whales in the game, or people who are just not active. So when land play goes live, I'm curious to know what's going to happen. During the mini game last year, all of the resources would automatically just pop back up after you harvested all of what was on your plot, which was stone and wood. Those were the only two things you could harvest. So then you could clean your plot, which took some time, tedious, and then you could plant your items and decorate your plot however it was. But on the outskirts of the plot here, where the Axies are, there would still be stone and wood that would regenerate over some time. So I guess you'll always have some type of resources on your plot if you only had one, and the whole center was occupied with a building you built, whether it was a storefront or a particular business to provide a service or to create a product like potions, because there's going to be a whole slot of, like in every other game we know to be, items that you could be purchased that people can sell. There'll be a town hall. There'll be also a town hall where you can transport your resources to then trade on the market, and all of these will be NFTs. So that's that, just like many other games that are coming out and having in their white paper. So it's all promising. But when it comes to the land, you're going to have, well, first and foremost, they hired a new art director. So that's going to help expedite just what it's all going to look like. So that's promising news in the development website, Medium. I think it's a Medium article. But you're going to be able to build passes, gather resources. Guild bases, gather resources, and use crafting mechanisms. So this was kind of already known, but they just reiterated like what land will be and what you'll be able to do briefly, and so yeah, like it's pretty interesting. What's
this is your
taking place.
mystic that's in these pictures, right?
Yeah, no. So one of them is the mystic, which is the beast,
Right.
Hasagi mystic, which is also what you'll see here when I stop my camera, and that's that, and you'll be able to upgrade the body part of a mystic to level 4, which is legendary, compared to the max, which would be 3 for any given body part out of the 6 of any particular Axie, and not last but not least, there is a photo that I could pull up that I didn't throw into the slide here, but this is Masamune Trung. You can go check out this CoinDesk article. It's on the Axie's Twitter, but you can just search it up on CoinDesk as well. And if it wasn't for him, along with others that started and co-founded the project, he was the brainchild behind it all. And if you want a nice story and history of what Axie was at the time and how it came to be, its inception origin story, then that's a great read. So I would encourage that. And if I may, just pull up a photo of also what was in Also, what was in? Actually, I don't have it now, but there's great photos that you can actually check out on the article. But last but not least, although I said that already, I'm going to share this little VFX leak that was also given in the article. Because I know, honestly, myself, if I'm watching someone's live stream or YouTube video and they said, go check out the article. Yeah, sometimes you do, but most likely you don't because they covered the majority of it. So that's just me. But I'm going to share you this little 12-second clip here of what's to come because Battles V2 is coming out and it's going to change the whole infrastructure when it comes to battling. And here we go. What's going on here? Okay. So this is that 12-second clip I just mentioned. So no volume, but we have some new animations when it comes to and artwork when it comes to Axies. And yep, it's pretty short and sweet. And there was a recent what do you call it? A battles a balancing update where cards were nerfed or buffed, and there was a lot of people complaining about that. But that was due to season 19. The balance patch it impacted more than 2.7 million players, so that was 98% compared to the season 17 patch, which was the last one, and that was only affecting 50,000 players. So since season 17 to season 19, there's been a 98% increase of players, now surpassing or about 3 million. So I could understand the community being upset about certain cards that were nerfed or certain Axies you bought to then that were meta that didn't or fell out of meta after the patch. So people will get upset, just like I mentioned, Ash. If you joined Rome, people would forget anyways. When we reach 2 million Star Atlas players, who's Ash? Unless you created something that was such a monstrosity of a history changer, which I'm sure you'll do.
Hey Ray, there's a question from the chat here. Is Battle V2 this year?
Well, there you go. So they don't give you any specific dates. The Axie is great with giving out leaks and just kind of beating around the bush, but it's sooner than it ever has been. So yes, I would say it's they haven't given dates, but it's been a long time coming. They postponed the land, the second alpha for land, so into next year, no quarter. I think it was just next year. And now for the V2, I'm sure it's going to come after season 19 ends, which there's 3,000 AXS if you place top 10.
You mentioned the card nerfing. I think that the greater concern across the board is not so much the card nerfing as it is the price of SLP, which is under 4 cents. It's about 3.8 cents right now, which is almost 90% down from the all-time high of 36 cents. Wow. So I think that's the greater concern. Is that that's my question. Yeah. Is that going to change? What's the future of SLP?
So sorry, Bonafide. So also a major update was the changing of the breeding fees, which doubled the amount of SLP. So again, the slide wasn't there, but that's just like pretty major news, and it also impacted the whole community as far as who's ever is earning the SLP, especially the ones who are playing to, I guess, to have some, like in the Philippines, there's a lot of players who depend on SLP's price being constant or just higher than it ever was before, when it was always usually, if you look at the charts, besides the spikes, around 3 cents, 4 cents. And, and the team also said it's not meant to be an investment. It's a utility token for a specific purpose, and it's meant for breeding. And breeding hasn't slowed down either. So also in the development Medium post from Axie Infinity, breeding is at an all-time high. So there's a discrepancy of like what the majority of community is feeling and reacting to versus the charts, the numbers, and what's actually the facts of what's happening. So I know a lot of people are affected by it, and even scholarship managers, but everyone needs to adapt. And the more people who just funnel in and have an expectation, I feel like they'll just be disappointed right at the gate because of what friends or family were earning or doing. And then it's not the case for hundreds of thousands of people. So you'll hear those voices on Twitter. You'll see those comments. You'll have people, getting deleted by moderators on live streams. And, you might think of it yourself because you might not know enough, but, take the time you need as an individual for any project, dive in, test it out. And
I guess for me, I'm still waiting for the answer to how it's going to be resolved, rather than just saying, hey, it's a utility token. Because here's, again, I mentioned this before, 40% of the user base are in the Philippines. The daily minimum wage for a day in the Philippines is like $7.25, $7.50. And right now, even if a person is rocking it, their half might be 75 to 100 SLP. That's less than half of what a daily's wage is. So you're going to have people that are going to start to shift their ideas. Is this incentive for me?
Yeah,
and that's 40% of the user base.
You keep beating me to my talking points, Jesse, but you're right on it. No, because you're thinking, you're saying what I'm thinking, right? It's like at one point, the reason that Axie Infinity took off and changed the world basically is because people in the Philippines were able to make more than minimum wage by playing a video game.
Yep.
And now they're, like you just said, they're making less than minimum wage by playing this video game. So, you know, I was happy to see Sky Mavis jump in there and actually try to do something about the price of SLP. I think that's what that breeding change you were just talking about, Ray, was about. Is they're trying to create, you know, they're trying to create buy pressure for this token, right? But is it too little, too late? Where do we see the price of SLP going? Because I mean, this is an important part of this whole situation, and I think that the land gameplay and Battles V2 coming out, where we're going to start using like actually harvesting Axies in order to upgrade and do things like that. I think that'll help a lot as well. But when do you see these things coming?
Well, soon. I'm gonna have to say soon because I have no actual dates myself.
Right.
But I'm sure as it's been, you know, more than 3 years for land in particular, and then also just V2 since it was announced. Like there's going to be more utility and, you know, incentives for, you know, playing the game to earn SLP, because there's going to be many other, like I said, opportunities for you to, I guess, harvest and gain as much as you can now. You know, whether, you know, but that's the thing. If we're strictly talking about people using SLP to live a life and sustain like an income to eat food, we're not talking about playing a fun video game anymore. Like the economy, because I reference DeFi Kingdom, although it's on the Harmony network and it's the largest DEX on the platform, but they gamified it, and then they're gonna have their expansion onto AVAX soon. It's just like the way the game, you can play the game, but it's also just a centralized. It's a decentralized DEX, so you can just take part in the DEX part and not worry about playing anything NFT related and playing the game. And with Axie Infinity, I see it similar, because they're building something that is going to create a full ecosystem to do what you would want to do decentralized with tokens or your own cryptocurrency outside of playing the game and owning Axies. So there's going to be like but that's the thing. We have to we kind of like mix both together. When we talk about the success of Axie Infinity, sure, they would have been maybe at the same level as all these other projects, but still in the forefront because they just made it through the bear market, and they might have just had better connections and funding. But, you know, as time goes on, it's more irrelevant as more money comes in. And, you know, Filipinos or whoever the demographics are for people who play the game, you know, it's, you know, like Dayton Arena. You got 5 million people playing, people making like $700 a day, grinding it out all day with their heroes that they have to pay like, what, $2,000
Yeah,
for?
my whole family, we're all playing that game. Yeah, it's stupid.
Right. Yeah. So everyone's just hopping on to what's the next hottest, most profitable token in whatever ecosystem NFT game there is. So the long-term sustainability of any project is going to be these questions asked for any of them, because there's going to be people who live off of Dayton's arenas and they're going to leave Axie Infinity. But then sure enough, Axie Infinity updates, like Star Atlas is now coming out with something where you're going to have more interest, people buying it up, token price goes up. But if these are utility tokens, these 2 token models, then no one should just be completely focused on the utility token, Atlas, you know, CHC, I think it is for Titan Arenas, instead of the CHG, and then SLP versus AXS. Like
I think it's not. I don't think it's so much about the price of a particular token, so much as it is how much a person can earn playing the game. Right. So that's the key. Is that everybody here, all of us, and the rest of the Metaverse Nomads out there, everybody's here to earn. Everybody's here to play to earn. That's what everybody's looking at.
Yeah.
Nobody's playing Axie because they think it's fun. You know, I mean, it's a cool game or whatever.
play
Well, you did. You did. Yeah, you're the OG. You're the
God.
OG. Yeah, I'm sorry.
My heart. I got you
Right.
involved, and you just
because no. It's not like that.
I'm messing with you.
But you are an outlier because you were an early adopter of Axie because you liked the game and you were very good at it. You were a pro player and all that. I didn't come into Axie because I thought the game was great. I came into Axie because all of a sudden I understood that I could breed and earn. And then I started scholarships, and my scholars were sending me things like talking about how they bought their first computer for their house, and I'm changing lives. Yeah.
Can I hit you with something? If you never made a scholarship, what were you still able to do to become profitable in Axie Infinity's ecosystem? Breed. You never had to create scholarships. You could have been flipping land, speculating.
Right. Well, to be fair, the guy who taught me how to breed told me not to do scholarships because I wasn't as profitable. But for me, that was important. The scholarship, the scholarship idea is a very something I'm passionate about.
That's what I'm saying. So
if we looked at it from a different perspective, let's say that I'm brand new and I'm coming into Axie today. What are my options? If I go land route, land's really expensive.
Sure.
And we don't really quite know how that plays out yet. And it's usually the people who've been around the projects for a long time that have that vision for it. So if I'm someone new today, I have basically two options. I can buy a team and start playing myself. That's its most basic entry. And if I do that, what's a functional team today going to cost you? What, like $700-800, maybe more, maybe up to $1,000. And if I know right now, the best that I can pretty much do is see about $5 a day. That's a long time to see a return on my investment if I'm here for play to earn. So that presents a challenge. And the other thing I'll add to that is if you look at what we see now for how many games are in the play to earn space. This is like the awards for most anticipated blockchain games. That's a lot of competition. And so what you're going to find is that I'm trying to understand what is going to make people stick if they are seeing such a long window of time before they can see a return on their investment.
You have to have a good. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say I can only speak for myself, and that's dependent on all the amount of research you do of who's supporting and backing or creating the tokenomics, because we're in a different space than just Amazon supports and backs Call of Duty. Like if that ever happened, you would just support Call of Duty. You wouldn't even have to think twice because there's money there, and then they could just hire anyone. So technically, the same applies. Maybe not the greatest example, but when you go down the rabbit hole of a particular project and you go through their socials and you go to the communities, because that's what a lot is based on, the longevity and the health of the community, after a certain point, right? Because then it's all about more so money and just what you can market, or whether you paid for it or not, your community doing it for you or not. But again, when it comes to playing these games, we emphasize how much could be made from playing them, and that just can't be swept under the rug. But when it comes to we cover many variables in the same conversation, and I would make a distinction between if the game is fun or not. Sure, we can talk about that. But if we're trying, Bonafide, you mentioned, like, people play this game or games to make money, and there's going to be more people of those types of people. The demographics of people just want to make money are those greater than playing for fun, right? So I could rattle off a whole bunch of names that are playing for fun, but the incentive, the secondary benefits of doing that is because you're just in an NFT gaming space with cryptocurrencies. So people are going to play and stick around games whether they care that they're fun or not, because they can earn, right? And you're just going to have this diverse group of melting pot of people and their interests for why they're going to come and go. And the more millions and millions that jump into any one project, it's going to be harder and harder to just say, yeah, well, it's not after one point in time, it's just going to be your opinion, and and everyone, even including us, we're going to look retarded, or we're not going to look like we know what we're talking about, because we can't speak for everyone. When a community is 10,000 people, then we can more or less gauge what's going on. And if you were there early, like Jess said, I was one of those. I digested or downloaded what the game will and become. And as the game grew and became more popular, whether it's more funding or more people, and this is I could talk about other projects the same way. I'm not a Axie Maxie. I'm just saying in general. You go to any other projects, you stay there long enough, and you're gonna feel the same way whether you can earn or not. Because if they're getting gamified with crypto, then it's still going to be a bullish thing, and they'll make their way if it's baked into the white paper, but not live yet. And if it's not, or if it is, then you're going to be reaping the benefits of buying, investing, playing, and having fun if you think it's fun. So that's my thing.
Well, taking it back to like, taking it back to like Star Atlas, right? So we got Score coming out here supposedly soon. And that's one of the things that I'm most passionate about Star Atlas for, is because apparently you're going to be able to allow, scholars to rent your ships and earn that way in the future.
Just the idea of it being a reality of what we know or what we've experienced before. It's just like Gala Games, Mirandus. There's nothing there before the alpha. People are throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars just on the idea that they're going to make that back, but they don't even know when, because there's not even a white paper or an estimation, right? Different projects are sharing different information or not having it at all, and then just leading people on. Sure, they'll be around still. They're not going to just rug pull on anyone, but until they come out with that information, or if they already have, the expectation to make money is always going to be there, and it will be there whether the game is fun or not. It's just how many people are going to want to play any X genre of game. Right? Some people don't like space games, so you're not going to have people there, but you will, because they're making money, and it's just going to be a good time. Everyone's going to have a good time.
Well, on the topic of Star Atlas, why don't we get back to it?
Right.
After that very spirited debate, long spirited debate, and we've got a special guest here. I think people's eyes started to gloss over there for a second. So let's.
No, it's all good. I enjoy hearing and learning all about this stuff.
She's
There
like,
you go.
do I want to play Axie or not?
Perspective.
So, Fancy, why don't you get us back into the Star Atlas ships there?
Yeah, so I guess we'll start from the bottom, which was the Two for Feast this week. And
Beautiful.
yeah, there was a lot of good pictures of this. And it wasn't the first time we saw it. It was actually in the trailer. And it looked great in Unreal 5.
I've wanted it ever since.
Yeah, we thought that was a bounty hunter ship at first.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought it was a bounty hunter ship. Is there what do you see something like this being used for in the game? Because
stealth, reconnaissance,
ambush. Yeah,
ambush. Yeah, that's where my head's at with this. Like, I'm gonna buy a couple because I want to be able to lose one.
Well, and depending on the ability of it to mask your like, if you fly into an asteroid field or something and you can go down into shutting everything down, maybe it gives you a level of protection as well. So there might be some defensive capability there.
Yeah, I have heard this be called the space crab, and I think it's quite appropriate.
It's going to be a fast ship for sure, because even though it's categorized as a small in class, it has a medium slot for an impulse engine. So this thing big engine, should be able to get up and go.
Gotcha.
Did you call it a space crap, Fancy? Is that what you said?
Crab.
Yeah. Crab. Okay. I thought I heard space crap. I was like, oh, okay.
I did too. and it kind of fits, Yeah.
Oh, see, that's really cool. It looks like a cave on the inside.
Yeah.
And it's actually wider than it is long. So it's 20 meters long in length, 10 meters high, but 30 meters wide.
Oh, wow.
2 people. It's a decent ship, yeah.
Considering the aliens that we know are going to be flying this ship or created this ship, I'm really curious. I mean, that alien species seems to have a very unique body and physical presence. And how does an Oni or not Oni, but how does another alien or a human go in this and fly it? Sometimes the alien technology seems like it would be too alien for other species to fly.
Absolutely. Like, it's almost made exactly for that particular character.
Mm-hmm.
And that character must eat a lot, because the one the one module that it has is a mess hall.
There you go.
Well, food is very important when you're out in space, right? I mean, I don't know what they're catching out there necessarily.
It does look like a crab in this picture, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And what would it eat, this rock monster?
I don't know. That's what I was just wondering when you brought up food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Humans, naturally.
Asteroid meteors.
All right. So next up, it's the Thimble Up, and
Nice.
yeah, it's quite a beautiful ship. Quite raggedy, like all the other Thimbles. But,
Yeah.
it seems like it's like a plane outfitted with rockets on the side.
It looks duct taped together, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say I kind of am digging the junkyard feel going on.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, the thimble reflects me as a person, right? Just old and taped together.
Just
Definitely, I definitely get Han Solo vibes from this whole this whole builder. You know, yeah.
definitely.
Look how many boosters on that as well. Yeah, it's crazy.
A lot of
Well, I think
thrust
they said they're going to release some information on the history of the ship builders soon.
Oh, very cool.
That'd be cool. You know what this looks like here? To me, it looks like two pistols attached to a B-52.
power.
Yeah.
Large pistols. I'm getting the kamikaze vibes with this ship, where it's just like you can just travel right into whatever you need while you're destroying or making an entrance.
Well,
yeah,
you know,
like guns blaring, flying into battle, ready to
Yeah.
take some stuff on.
Right.
I mean, I guess maybe it's built as to try and be this thing that looks reliable, but it just looks like a lot of repairs, and you got to wonder.
If you don't have a good mechanic, don't buy this shit.
they're certainly
But
not
it's something
keen.
you can do yourself, apparently, right? It looks very
Right. In the name.
Well, they're certainly not keen on privacy on this ship either, right? So, if I recall, this little sleeping area is right down from the pilot's chairs. So
No ventilators.
Hey, I like this comment from the chat. This Thimble build your own ship manufacturer.
BYOS.
That's it.
Build your own ship.
this is every DIYer who builds their own ship and thinking they can build like a chi, right? This is what they come up
This
with.
is what they come up with. It looks like my home DIY projects. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good question about how much customizable Thimbles actually will be.
Yeah, I got the idea that the build your own ship part was about the availability of the repair parts and stuff like that. That showed up in something in the past as well. But again, once we know more about the history of the manufacturers, I think we'll understand better.
It almost looks like an add-on for the other ship, the freighter. That's the other piece.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, a lot of thrusters.
And so next up is the Pierce X6.
I mean, that's so
Clean.
sleek.
So clean, yeah.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
I'm really
Yeah.
curious what their favorite ship lines are. That's something we should try to figure out.
I know.
'Cause
I
I'm sure
tried
they all
asking
have a
Mike
favorite.
when he was in our spaces the other day, and he just sidestepped the questions.
Good old Mike.
Oh,
Did he drop any alpha in your Twitter space?
No, not too much.
this is
Sorry.
the other
He
ship
was
with a
being
known
very
brig.
Cautious.
Yeah. Oh, this has a brig as well?
Yeah.
This one it actually. Oh, you know what? I think that was the club that was talking about this could actually double as possibly another bounty hunter type ship.
Well, that's what I was wondering. If this has a brig, then what's the point of having the Amway? This is more powerful. It has better weaponry. Has a brig. I think one thing we did learn in Foundation is that the brig counts as one of the two chairs, right? So if it's
Yeah.
two or more, it needs a pilot's license.
Yep.
So this would need a pilot's license because it has a brig, which is a manned position.
So the Amway has a small brig, and this has an extra small brig. So
Extra
one
small.
lower. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tegus.
So we can fit the larger persons that we capture.
Look at that piloting mechanism, though. Look at that thing on his head, right? Is
Yeah,
he
it's
looking
like
at me out
a
there?
VR beanie.
Keep Keeps you warm and engaged.
Well, but it's almost like, are they being like driven with your brain waves and
That's a
stuff
good
like
point.
that?
Looks
Yeah.
like
That's a good
Could
point.
be.
Kind of crazy. Like you
Looks
just think, go
Yeah.
right, and it goes right.
I can't wait to see this guy show up as the LARPer at the first Star Atlas Con, right? This is the guy walking around.
That's gonna be funny.
Well, what's interesting is that if this technology exists in this ship, then why wouldn't you see it more across the Pierce line itself? Oh,
It's a good point.
yeah.
As far as the piloting with the
Yeah.
VR beanie,
Yep.
we've now dubbed it. So Star Atlas needs to pick that up,
Hashtag-
by the way.
Hashtag
Yeah.
VR beanie.
Hashtag keep you warm and engaged.
There you go.
I like that. Right? That was a good one.
Interpret that however you'd like, community.
This thing's 30 meters long, so it's bigger than it looks.
Yeah,
It's quite.
Yeah, that's pretty
classy
big.
for sure. I think they said that this also is one of the models that could be used for policing, right? There's a
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all of the Pierce lines. They have like a white skin that they're going to put on them, and
Mhm.
that's
I was about to
pretty
say,
cool.
is that the whole, like, their whole line is basically they double as police vehicles as well, right?
Yeah.
So
And I
that
think
probably means that you're going to see a lot of NPC operated of these Pierce vehicles in Zone
Yes.
2. Because
Right.
Zone 1's a safe zone, and so I don't even think you can attack if you wanted to. But in Zone 2, you can attack, but there's consequences.
or we see them in safe zone as a cosmetic, kind of just
Right.
atmospheric. That's what's in the area. I think one of the other things we learned about the numbers on the Pierce ships, also, at least with some of them, is that they're police units, and what we're seeing is a unit number, not always the class of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
What you got, Fancy?
So we're going to return to the Rainbow Chi. We only looked at a few
Yes.
pictures, but
Yeah, I love it.
definitely worth the time.
That's classy.
So the Rainbow as a manufacturer, I think I'm a fan. I got the Rainbow home, and now I got to get this one.
Yeah.
And the price is right too. That's what surprised me
Mhm.
is that they're making them. I would have expected it to cost a bit more, I guess.
Yeah, the prices this go around are more reasonable, I guess, compared to the first batch of ships.
So
Wow.
the main disadvantage this ship is only one person,
Mm.
Yeah.
and for its price, I think it is the highest of all of them. All of the smaller ones, yeah,
Yeah.
excluding the Calico Evoc. So it is quite powerful, fast, and can shapeshift apparently, but you're going to get one less crew if you buy this over anything else.
Well, that's kind of.
And it's going to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Ash. What was that?
Oh no! I said, well, that's kind of a bummer. It's only for one.
Which is strange because it's got the length. It's 35 meters in length, so it's a long ship. It's 10 meters wide, 10 meters high, and as Fancy Hat mentioned, it's fast because it's got a medium warp drive and a medium impulse engine, but it also has medium hull reinforcement. So its strength as a ship is even punching above its class.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in this picture, it's being chased by an amboy, I think.
Oh.
Yeah,
yeah,
sure enough.
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I see it back there. So this is going to be for evading your enemy or your bounty
There
hunter
you go.
coming
There
after
you
you.
go.
I mean, taking it back to Flight of the Navigator, I mean, you only needed one person to pilot it, so.
That's true.
And its extra modules come with a extra fuel and extra ammo. So long range travel seems to be a part of this one as well.
And this cockpit is interesting, man. Check that out. Go back to the
Oh.
one you were just on, the next one.
Oh, it's
That's
pretty.
gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a pretty ship, man.
What do we think is done with the rest of the space? Because 30 meters is a long ship. It just so far the interior shots don't seem to show me the whole ship.
There's,
Yeah,
an,
and
there's,
this
there's an
is what
Olympic
we
side.
get.
Oh, go ahead.
This is what we get on the annotation. It's not very clear either. There is a second interior picture, and it has a window,
Nice.
which I find quite weird.
I don't
Well, it
even know
looks
if it's a
like-
window.
You can
Yeah.
decide anywhere that you want to look
Yeah.
at what it looks
Right.
like. That's
That's
cool.
That's it. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
it's almost like
interesting-
maybe they touched it and it just like billowed out, because it's
Yeah.
liquid or smoke or whatever it is. It's so cool.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Ohm Line as well. This is awesome.
And
So is it Ohm or is it Rainbow? It's Rainbow is the
This is
Oh yeah, rainbow is the
Rainbow cheese, yeah.
and the Ohm is the cheese.
How many ships do they have? Is it just the two or
2 at the moment
So far,
I believe.
okay?
So we have cheese and water, guys. Okay.
cheese and cheese slicer.
Oh man.
Yeah, and this picture's really great but weird at the same time. It does
What do you suppose that is?
I'm thinking that it has, because with the other ships, like when we look at the Fimble line, we know that that is using jet propulsion. It's using combustion. This here has some other mechanism for how it uses its propulsion system. I think we're seeing some of the residual of that, perhaps.
Maybe that describes the size of the space of the ship. Maybe it's the propulsion system that makes it so big, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's it for the Rainbow Chi. So that's the 4 smallest. And on the server, we had a vote about which one we would like for a giveaway, and like which one was most popular. And I believe the Rainbow Chi is the one that was voted best.
Can we pull up
Are you laughing at the Rainbow Capri Sun?
Yeah.
Did somebody post that in the chat?
Yeah,
I lost it.
No, that was my bad, Blarg. I think I blocked him for 5 minutes instead of posting it on the screen like I was trying
Oh no.
Sorry, Blarg.
It looked like a Capri Sun.
You're not actually on timeout. You actually had a very good comment. I was trying to put you on the screen, buddy.
Great.
What's next, Fancy?
But yeah, he said Space Capri Sun. That was funny.
So this is the Calico Evac, and it's more expensive than I thought it was going to be. But honestly, it's got a lot of good modules and components on it. It seems like quite solid overall.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge.
I like the Calico line. Yeah, this thing's 53 meters long, so it's a big ship. Medium class.
Yeah, they really did something with it I wasn't expecting. Like I knew they were going to use the escape pods in some capacity, but this seems built specifically for those escape pods. Everything I'm sure you've got the pictures we're going to see here, Fancy, but the whole ship seems built around those escape pods. And this one in particular, this picture right here blew me away because it looks like they're using some sort of VR or screens below his feet. That's not glass. If you look at the ship, that's probably screens.
Yeah, because the command deck is at the top, at the back. So where his feet would be, that's where the ship is. So yeah, that must be some sort of projection. But yeah, the thing I find interesting about this ship is how it has 2 rescue people and 2 rescue drones.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they like get in the drones and then fire out like torpedoes, or they like manually operate the drones from the ship.
Yeah.
A lot of possibilities, but it's an interesting ship. I think it might get overlooked with all the like flashy fighters coming out.
Yeah, and also because it has its med bay, and it suggests that it's equipped in such a way that it's able to revive stunned and critical casualties, and also to pull people out of a cryostatic escape pod. So yeah, that's basically if there's a big war going on, this is the cleanup crew that's going around saving people.
How many
I'm actually
people?
attracted to it. Go ahead.
Large.
What'd you say?
Oh, and I was saying, how many people do you think you could save with that thing? Like, it's pretty massive.
Yeah,
it's a good question. I mean, based on the pictures, we see at least 6 or 7 of those pods, I think, in there. Yeah. Seems like it would hold more.
And it has a cargo bay too. That's one of the additional modules, so it's got space.
Stack those bodies.
Yes, that's what the people in the cargo bay.
I feel like I gotta get this one just because it's like it kind of fulfills like the healer role, right?
Yeah.
In a game, like so you're the guy that's coming through and taking care of everybody.
Yeah, and it's priced around that of a hero, I guess. What is it, about 2,200? Yeah.
The hero is 350, I believe. Oh. So a bit of a step up on there. But
the hero's actually gone up in value, I think, too, right? It's around 4 now. If you're trying to buy it on the aftermarket, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they've all been hovering around their original price, really. Like you can if you wait, you can get it. But I pulled this from the Calico Evac description. Higher tiered medical bay facilities and personnel have the ability to revive stunned and critical casualties or to pull cryostatic escape pod crew out from indefinite slumber. So it seems like it has a lot of utility that won't be realized until there is conflict in the game.
I think it's probably a sleeper. People are going to underestimate how important this ship is, and then later on, everybody's going to be dying for him.
You know, handsome Kevin Smith here is asking, like, can you rescue for profit? And just like helicopter services in real life are a big private business. Yeah, I can see rescue as well. Otherwise, you're out there in that pod just waiting to be picked up. It's like, credit card, please.
And would it be worth like having a rescue ship if you're going out like killing everyone, and then you could just go collect all their crew members that didn't die? Like that seems like, even if you're like fully offensive, this seems like it'd be a good option still.
Right.
So part of a salvage fleet of sorts.
Salvage for humans.
Yeah.
Definitely a sleeper.
Well, it's rocking the cross too, and so I think this is going to be an interesting situation where is it going to be neutral parties that try and operate these? Because if you're at war and the opposition has this, cross or not, they're going to get blown out of the sky if they're trying to get in the middle of conflict. And so it'd be interesting to see if like there's a guild perhaps that says, hey, this is our line of business. We're going to remain Switzerland. We're a neutral party. And so, hopefully everyone can be in agreement not to fire on us, just like we're a medic on the combat field.
Right.
Yeah, somehow I don't think that's going to play out the way they want it to, though.
Right.
Ash, you had something to say?
No, I said I like that idea. I think that's a great idea. But
Awesome. Agreed.
And it does seem like this ship has a lot of space in the cargo bay as well. Right at the back.
Yeah, that is one of the larger spaces.
Yeah, and that crew access lift is in a quite, I don't know, I like the positioning.
Very good.
Yeah. Right, so this is the Jod Asterisk. And
That's just a beautiful ship.
I don't know if anyone else saw the mosquito video that was shared. Do we have that?
I don't think we have it.
No, not long enough.
We gotta pull that up. I'll look at that.
This thing is basically the cruise ship of space. It's luxury accommodations, and it's pretty interesting. So you could, I could see this coming into play if you, for instance, wanted to have some party in space on a ship. This would accommodate.
yeah, it's definitely fancy looking. Like it's incredible, to be honest.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's a pretty ship.
Yeah, I mean, it's not designed for combat. It's not designed for collecting data. It's just a luxury cruiser.
Yeah, I could see some galas or balls or something like that happening on this for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Very fancy.
Well, there's another guild I saw in Foundation who's already announcing that they're going to be buying one and renting out the hull. So I think that was the intent overall. I think Wagner made it pretty clear quite a few months ago that there's going to be ships and events in the metaverse, and this seems to be the place to do it, right?
Yeah, that looks like a concert hall almost, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not a cheap ship. 25,000 for it. It's considered a capital class. It's 510 meters in length, 145 wide. So this is a big one. Yeah.
And in this picture, there's all these little like golden fighter looking things. So that might be a future little brother that comes out.
You think they're ships or drones?
Mosquitoes.
That would be cool if they were drones, to be honest. I would like that.
Yeah.
These reminded me of actual yachts. So the way the bottom is shaped. So luxury for sure.
And those glass pieces look like they might be biological inside, right? Like there might be biomes or something inside there.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there we go. That's cool.
And one of the crew roles is hospitality manager.
What was that guy? Who was the hospitality manager on the Love Boat? What was that guy's name? I'll figure it out. I'm dating myself. Nobody knows what the love boat is anymore.
Yeah.
What are you even talking about, man?
Is that a video game?
Man.
What is this love boat you're speaking?
Is that a bag of
Well,
potato chips?
I remember back in the day.
Cruise, right?
Julie was the ship's purser. You had Gopher. You had Isaac was the bartender. I remember these things.
Yeah, so that was the Jod Asterisk. Beautiful. And this was honestly a surprise for me, just how nice it was, and all the modules and things. It seems to have
Is this
so
the
much
tree?
space inside. This is the Thimble Bombarella.
Okay.
So this is still one down from the tree hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody called them militant space hippies, I think, in the foundation room, and I think that's very apt. Right?
You know, it fits me. I'm a hippie at heart. Like I love anything with a bunch of trees on it. Like you already got me.
Yes. I'm a fan of this line of ship for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
I'm surprised.
I love that
And
they
they
painted like
drop
a
bombs
BWF.
on you.
Yeah.
When they drop the bombs on you, it's love bombs because they terraform the planet afterwards. They clear up behind themselves. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and we
Yeah,
did get
I'm
some.
digging the graffiti art that they have on this one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Stood out.
It's,
Oh, those
it's a
awesome.
very posh vibe inside this one as well. It's
Yeah.
not as hippie, but
It's almost nicer inside than it is outside.
yeah, there's still trees inside and beanbag chairs though, so it's not all the way yet.
Well, it's also another capital ship, so it's a big ship, 400 meters in length, 200 wide. So it's a big one.
I just want to know what the drugs are like.
Yes, it has that vibe, doesn't it?
See, I didn't realize this before, but those are all on the top picture. That's all like the command deck, I guess, and they have beanbag chairs that's there as well.
Oh,
Love it.
total hippie vibes. Yeah, my
And
hippie bones going crazy.
I see
yeah.
the dance floor right there, in between the two rows of seats and or screens, if that's what they are. It's a nice dance space.
So I know Bodhi watches this channel. He's probably watching right now. But if there's any ship that represents what I think his guild is about, this is the fleet, right?
Yeah.
Bodhi.
Yeah.
He's big.
Yeah, Bodhi,
he's big
Bodhi
on
was
it.
in the chat earlier. He's with us today. Yeah. Give us a shout, man. Let us know.
So next is the Pierce C11.
Ooh, damn.
Yeah,
Who's getting one?
That one's pretty.
I'm
Christmas.
torn. I was leaning this direction first, but the tree arrow. So I'm leaning now in the direction of the tree arrow over this one. But this is a beast. This is, I think, that short of even Wagner said this, that short of the Titan class ships, this is the behemoth of combat. This is kind of like the centerpiece of an attack arsenal.
Yep.
For sure. I'd be afraid messing with that thing in deep space.
Yeah.
It looks like it could do some damage.
So the crazy thing about this one is that it can basically carry an entire fleet inside of its hangar base, right? So
Yeah, let's take a look at that. Here is 8 F4s all lined
Jesus.
up, ready to take off. And I assume you could put any like medium class into this.
Yeah.
And yeah,
If there was a ship called "You Don't Want These Problems,"
It would be that one.
790 meters long. That's a long ship.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's a Star Destroyer? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
not off the top.
That's the vibes I get from it. This is a Star Wars Star Destroyer right here.
Yeah.
It's got
It
two.
definitely gives me heavy Star Wars vibes, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's got
Maybe
two.
that's why I like it so much.
Yeah, 2 commander size hard points, 8 capital hard points, and 36 large. I mean, this thing has just got turrets the whole way around it.
Jesse, can you read the hangars? The number of hangars it has? Do you have that
It's
available?
got- yeah, I do. It's got 5 commander hangar slots, 4 capital, and 12 large.
Man, the fact that it has 4 capital ships can be held in the hangars, that's huge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And look at all that militant stuff going on. Yeah, total Star Wars.
Yeah, we're thinking about like how many ships, but each ship is going to need like however big it is, this is going to be like a city just floating around, capable of walk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be like one of those things where, like, you know, somebody pulls up with the C11 and you're like, okay, they got problems. Like,
or you're about to have some problems.
yeah, like we're this isn't a game anymore. We're going at it.
Yeah.
I think somebody put in chat that a Star Destroyer is 1.8 kilometers, so it's a little bit smaller than that, but still huge.
Does it say here?
Do you have the length lined up there, Jesse? I think you were looking at the website, right?
The length, yeah, the length is 790 meters.
All right, so it's about 1 kilometer shorter than a Star Destroyer, but damn, it's big.
Yeah.
All right, and that brings us on to the tree arrow.
This is my favorite.
Same. Yeah.
Way out of my price range, but it's beautiful.
I was pretty much locked on the C11 until I saw this thing, because this thing is like, you know, we were talking about the other thimble line. It's like, you know, you can go to war and then you can send a little love to the earth, and then the whole while you can have a bunch of people that just want to observe from the observation deck while at the beach.
So long time ago, we had a podcast and we had a picture of this ship, and we didn't know the name of it or anything. And I thought it was amazing then. And I mean, it's a whole world in there.
Yeah. And which makes me wonder, like, so how customizable is that? Because it looks like a lot of space for sure that you have to work with. But within that space, is there going to be like enough room can you designate shops? Because it is space for Little City. Could you make it a floating resort? Like, what all can you actually do with that space on the inside?
You could set up like destructive eco-tourists businesses,
Right.
Come watch us terraform after we blow everything up.
Yeah.
But when you're in the deep of space, this is exactly what you would want, really. Like in like reality terms, if you was like there, your crew members would actually be like the best they could be, I assume.
Sure. The working environment is going to be beautiful.
Optimal.
Yeah. And we can't forget how it's a simulation. So at one point or another, we will be in VR in our dwellings in the real world. And you would want to be next to trees and, you know, lush, you know, gardens and
Look at that.
clear waters.
It's amazing. It's 800 meters long and 430 wide.
Wow.
Damn.
Now,
I
is
gotta
there
give best comment to Bodie. Tree Arrow is the coolest NFT of all time.
It is.
Right, bro.
It's pretty awesome.
is there a larger variant of this ship that hasn't been released yet? Is there a Titan class or?
This is I don't think so. This is just actually
is
there
the
is a Titan that's named, I think, in the Thimble line, but I think so.
Yeah,
I recall that. Yeah,
Wow.
but
as a commander ship, this thing is pretty amazing.
I wonder if all of this land is you can like farm on it. If you're able to like bring a farm with you, that'd be quite OP, I imagine.
Makes sense.
And you'd be able to turn that into bombs.
So for the Titan ship, yeah. So there's 3 Titan ships: the Pierce T1, the Fimble ECOS Super Phoenix, and then the Busan, the Last Stand.
So we haven't even seen the. Okay, so it's coming.
Yeah, the bomber and 2 fighters. So to be determined.
Well,
So it's going to be the size instead of the Death Star, it'll be the Life Star.
And this
Ash,
is what we saw inside. Sorry, Ray.
No, Ash said something.
Oh, no, I was just saying it's almost like the ultimate vacation. I know I was talking with, I think it was either Lloyd or Ronan from Club, and they were saying like you could use it as this ultimate like cruise ship, right?
Sure.
To take a break from all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that aesthetic inside looks great.
What do you think those triangle things are in there? If you had to take a guess.
Beds. They look like little teepees. I mean,
Yeah, they do.
you go in there, you recharge. I don't know.
There you go.
So it says bomb storage in the bottom right corner, like underneath it. And then the second picture says corridor.
Got it. Well, bomb storage is not beds.
No, it's not. So I was way off.
Yeah, and that was all of the ships, and they're all coming out over the next week or two.
So here's the heat. How many? They said we see the supply here. How many of those are actually going to be on sale to everybody versus partial supply?
Right now, the website's showing 90, so it's a 20 delta for the tree arrow so far. Yeah.
So 20 have already been sold, is what you're saying.
Or they haven't been sold. The language is that they have been pre-allocated. So once they do come on sale, that's immediately off the back end of the supply.
Got it.
Right.
We know what that means.
Yeah.
Get it straight.
Well, I think it's a good next round of ships that we've seen, right? They continue to impress with the art and with the variations of the different types of ships. I don't know if we need to get into a big conversation around. I think we've already had the conversation around pre-purchases, but anybody have any thoughts?
Well, the thing that I think everyone that is looking at this ship that you're going to need to be aware of, and what does impact the price, which the line being towed is that it doesn't impact the price because you're being taken off the back end. It absolutely does, because I'll tell you exactly how it's going to go down. The people that want this ship, they're going to go to Serum Dex or Radium, and they're going to put in a pre-bid order. And because there's only 90, they're going to put it in for 5 to 10% or so higher. So if you really want the ship, you're probably going to pay about $110,000 for it rather than the $99,500, because those are going to be the orders that are going to be accepted before your base price. So lower quantities do drive up the price.
And I don't want to go too deep in this, but it's like I've said before. All these ships have been selling out for the most part. Once you get into a certain price bracket, they're all selling out. So there's no reason to do any kind of deals. They're going to sell.
Yeah. And I think we're going to start to see some of the lower price ships sell out once score hits and we start seeing
absolutely
some return on these ships. And speaking of that, what do you guys think about the ROI on score? What do you expect?
My thoughts on it are, okay, so it deserves a little bit of backstory on that. So we don't even know what the ROI is going to be, but there's a couple of guesstimates. The guesstimates originally were based on Michael Wagner on previous podcasts talking about a year being an appropriate ROI, for your investment. So that would push it around 8% monthly. So that's one line. The other is by looking at the reward payout versus the approximate 60 million in ship purchases today. What would that actually mean for how much is going to be paid out? And then on top of that, we heard in the past Michael Wagner say that we're going to lean heavily towards rewarding generously and then pull back to adjust as needed. And now the language is kind of being flipped, where he's saying we're going to approach it more conservatively for the overall long-term benefit of the economy. So we're hearing language changes, and so it's really not clear what to expect. And then there's another consideration with the amount of ships that have already been purchased, or that will probably be around the 60 million mark. If we look at an 8% reward structure on that, and the current price of Atlas, which I think it's like 13 cents now, it was around 11. We're talking about 40 million Atlas being pumped into the economy. So then the next question is what becomes of that price-wise for Atlas? And then, as the price gets adjusted, because supposedly if Atlas goes up or down, we're still going to maintain that percentage of the ship's VWAP. MSRP value.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because this is the first time where we're going to see heavy inflation of Atlas into the supply system, right? And we know that they're pricing some ships in Atlas, and how often are they pegging it to the US or USDC? Did they announce? Is it every 24 hours? Is it live? Or so you might find some good deals one way or the other based on how the assets are being priced. And if we look at other games where they've started using their game token to buy assets like Townstar, for example, it starts to change the dynamic of how people are buying stuff. So they're going to see less USDC coming in, and now you're going to see people spending more of their Atlas that they're kind of saving. My personal thought is my Atlas is going to go right into Polis, right? I'm not going to save it to buy more ships. I'm going to continue to compound Polis.
Yeah, I agree. I think Polis is definitely where it's at. In fact, I don't even hold any Atlas right now. Pretty much everything I've done is dumped into Polis. And the other consideration is what is going to maintain the stability of Atlas. And it's going to be a couple of things. It's going to be the number of new people coming into the ecosystem, because that's going to create more demand for Atlas to buy ships. And the other thing is potentially to make assets only available in Atlas, so that there's more of a reason for people to stockpile and use them. And then there's also purchases, reasons for us to hold that Atlas, not just for maintenance and ship operating costs. And that's the other factor of that so-called 8%. We don't know what that number is. I'm just using that as a placeholder. Whatever that reward is, we don't know what the percentage of that reward is going to be consumed by ship operating expenses. So it's going to be operational expenses and other things that we can purchase in Atlas that will keep it in the economy. But also, we have to keep in mind that it was mentioned on one of the last town halls where Wagner was talking about being surprised at how many gamers are coming to this space. Well, if you have gamers in this space and they're spending their money going from their fiat bank account to buying a ship, they're interested in return on their investment. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be interested in pulling out some of their returns to be able to bring it back into fiat, because they want to see an actual return rather than just keeping it in the system. So there's all these factors at play, and it's going to be really interesting to see what Atlas does. What is it going to take for the price to become stable?
Yeah, just even taking it above the Atlas price. You know, you just mentioned that Wagner's been a little bit conservative about what the distributions will be. You know, he's mentioned that it might pull back a little bit. And I think a lot of people have bought these ships with the anticipation of seeing a good return. And if, you know, this is either going to be an egg on the face moment for Star Atlas, or they're going to look like they walk on water, depending on the returns that people are seeing. And it's really going to change the direction of people's belief in the future of the game. Right. If all of a sudden they invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we know who those people are, and they're not making the money. Well, we already had a dialogue earlier about people are going to go where the money is at. And that might force a suppression of the price as people sell assets to look for better return on their money.
Indeed.
That's the downside of play to earn gaming is any game developer has to factor that in now. It's no longer just capture your audience and keep them entertained. It's also, well, where's my money going to go?
Yeah. Tokenomics, economics are key. That was one of the things that got me trusting the Star Atlas devs in the beginning, was that the fact that they went out of their way and hired economists to actually work on their game.
Yeah. Well, to that point, Bonafide, and I think that's a great point, is it's not like Wagner is saying this because he just decided. I'm sure these economists are supplying information that's leading to that point of view, right? So, and we have to trust that to a degree.
Well, you look at, like, I mean, you know, Axie was the first, right? And so they're obviously suffering some growing pains because they're having to deal with how real world economy is affecting their economy, how their economy is affecting the real world economy. You got SOP tanking. They're trying to deal with it. They're the first to ever do it. So obviously there's going to be some struggle there. Same with Star Atlas. Star Atlas is going to have to go through this as well. What's interesting is I dug into Gala. I dug into Townstar last week. I'm understanding now why Gala price has shot up so much and why that's growing up. And they might actually have one of the better tokenomic models going right now in play to earn. I'm not sure.
It's okay. So that's an interesting thing, and I've been giving a lot of thought to that myself. So if we look at the Gala ecosystem as a whole, they now have the one game that is focused on play to earn. But as I already mentioned, for an economy, you need to have either people coming in, or you need to have reason to keep the money in by continuing to reinvest it. And what Gala has going for itself right now is they are very news driven. They keep announcing new games. They just have they're in the process of their big event right now. But even with these new games, they're a long way off from demonstrating the actual play to earn component that they're seeing right now with Townstar. And there's an element to what Gala's doing that to me feels like we rob Peter to pay Paul, meaning like we will, like I said in the very beginning, my thoughts, and these are just my own opinions about what Gala did with Mirandus, was use that as a capital raise to fund the other things that they're doing. Mirandus is still a long way off, but that money, they took it, they rob Peter to pay Paul to make these things work. And as long as you keep doing that, now you have all these new announcements and you're bringing people in, and then Townstar is going to benefit the economy and the tokenomics of the coin right now. And then they'll continue to do that with the next thing and then the next thing. But it's not, I don't know that it's sustainable. That's
well, as you know, I'm in full agreement with everything you just said as far as God is concerned. But you got to check out also. So I started playing Townstar, and what I realized was that I needed Gala power. And Gala power is based off of how much Gala token and how much town what coin that you hold. So they're incentivizing you to buy and hold their tokens. Basically, it's almost like a staking mechanism added in on the back end. So
is it just token? Because I thought it also was playable or earnable NFTs.
Yeah.
That they looked at.
Yep.
Well, from what I've seen, it's just token. So you got to have a certain amount of Gala coin, or you have to have a certain amount of town coin, and that raises your Gala power. And you have to have a certain amount of Gala power. That's what affects what you can earn in Townstar. So currently, like right now, I have like 2 Gala power, so I can use 2 NFTs in Townstar to earn. And as my Gala power goes up, the more NFTs I can use, obviously that makes the earning potential goes up. And so looking at that, I was like kind of blown away, because it's like, okay, they actually did a good job here. Like I see why now I get why people are having to buy, because all of us that are node owners, we get a certain amount of Gala and town coin for free, and we basically just burn it on a regular basis, right? And now I'm seeing, okay, so now I'm incentivized to actually hold my Gala coin instead of just dumping it on the market continually.
Well, they're taking that back to Star Atlas. That mechanism will be there as well, right? As soon as they get the DAO uploaded. So once people get their Atlas, some of us will convert it to Polis, and then you'll stake it into the DAO, which is going to lock those coins up, and actually could help stabilize some prices long term. But Jesse, I agree with you. There, it does feel like they move. They move from one game to another and kind of market and use the earnings from one game to push into another. We got a bunch of Gala stuff coming here in a little bit. So maybe
I think we should finish up Star Atlas first.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just have a
what you got, Fancy? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't want to put you guys on a side tangent or anything, but I just have a question, because you're talking about the price variations and everything. When we enter another bear market or crypto winter this time, how do you guys see that affecting this? Because there's so many new people coming in that aren't used to crypto markets and the volatility of it. How is that, how do you see that affecting things for these games?
So from my perspective, gaming is the ultimate utility for tokens, right? So, and when things go south in a market, people are still going to play games. You may not see these huge asset buys that we're seeing, and you'll probably see some price depression. However, I think if people are playing the games, you'll still see a better outcome for those tokens than you might for Ethereum or Bitcoin or something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, we've never been there before, right, Hippo? But the thing is what's interesting is if you look back to the previous all-time high back in April, right after that, when Bitcoin cooled off, typically you would have seen all the other tokens in the whole cryptoverse would have cooled off, right? And what you actually saw was the NFT boom happen, and you saw gaming cryptos take off. And so that goes back to what Banjo was just saying, is that the utility of gaming isn't going to die because Bitcoin decides it doesn't want to go up forever, and that's going to be the interesting thing we're going to see when we actually do go into a Bitcoin bear market. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not NFTs continually rise, because I mean, no market ever goes up in a straight line. So there's going to have to be a cool off at some point. When is that going to happen? Is it going to happen when Bitcoin cools off, or is it going to happen during the next Bitcoin bull run? When's it going to start slowing down?
What Azra is saying here I think is spot on. That's kind of my position on it, is that communities is what's driving a lot of the big projects right now. And the communities are not market driven the same way. They don't feed the same way on market news. And so as a result, we're going to see it continue to hold value. And also, we saw Bodhi there a moment ago talking about it holding value in the space, that this is one of the least risky asset classes. And it's because of the utility, and it's because of what people get from the experience of gaming and the onboarding. This is the on-ramp. We're going to see people continue to flood into the crypto space with gaming as an introduction. And so I see this space as being one of the least risky in the space because of those factors.
Gotcha. Okay. That'll make sense. And yeah, I definitely see this as like a huge onboarding into the crypto space for non-crypto natives. So that definitely makes sense.
I mean, what we saw in the Philippines is we saw people actually buying groceries, and one of my scholars was actually showing me an ad where he could buy a car and make his payments in SLP. So these gaming economies, once they actually create their entire ecosystem like Axie did, where they have their own decks and all this kind of stuff, I mean, they actually going to operate like their own countries. So it's not necessarily going to be about Bitcoin or whatever else is going on in the world. It's going to be what's going on in their own country as a part of the metaverse.
The other thing that's kind of changing about the space is that there's a lot of people in developing countries that the cost of a bank account is like $25, $30, $40 a month just to have the bank account. And so it becomes something that they can't even afford to have. And so now actually having crypto, even in the form of gaming, ways that they can utilize cards and things, as you're just mentioning, paying for groceries. One of the first times, because I wanted to experiment with it, is, crypto.com, their card. So without me even having to go back to fiat through a bank account, there's ways now you can utilize crypto. So I think more people looking at alternatives for spending is another reason that you're going to see more people come into the space and more utility across the board. And as a result, I think that you're going to see growth in places where you might normally think that there's going to be pullbacks because of the crypto market as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
You just made a good point there, Jesse, because in Africa, certain parts of Africa, they were using phone minutes as money, right? And so what is phone minutes? Phone minutes is utility. That's I want to make a call, so I need these minutes. You need these minutes because you want to make phone calls. So that utility can easily be transferred into a gaming ecosystem, because I want to play this game, you're playing this game, we're going to use this as money now, and so
value,
right? And so that alone could keep something like a Star Atlas token more stable, in the future, even during crypto bear and bull runs.
Whether it's a bear or a bull market, Harmony brings up a great point. I think this is going to cause a lot of ill will towards devs in the near term, is how taxes are going to play out in these games, right? So you're going to have people in the U.S. especially. I know other countries are more favorable, but there's going to be some tax issues and some implications of people playing these games. And many of us are already up against stuff that we've bought and we've sold. And probably not doing the best job of tracking that stuff. And how is that going to show up when the tax man cometh?
Yeah. The tax season's going to be fun this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, shout out to the Nomad Capitalist. I don't know if anybody follows him on YouTube, but he always says, you go where you're treated best, right? So when you're able to, you're almost living. This is the metaverse. You're almost living in these games now. You're earning a living. You're playing the game. You're spending a lot of your time there. Your friends are there. Why would you live in a country that's going to tax you when you try to go to fiat? Why would you go to a country where you're going to get hurt? You're going to move to a place that's going to treat you better.
We've got some breaking news. I know this is a little bit jump away from Star Atlas, but Monty just shared in chat that Gala has announced that Walking Dead franchise is coming to Gala Games. So that must be the household name that they're doing. And I'm just really curious how that's going to show up in the NFT space.
And then, we have there's some exciting announcements. They have a business focused one. They talked about, the guy from The Sims is going to be creating the Boxverse. So all these are great announcements, and Gala has a history and they understand game building. But what is really going to be the tokenomics in the actual play to earn component of these games? Because you can put a blockbuster title out there, but does the gaming economy really serve play to earn?
If they continue doing that same model they're using with the Gala Power thing on all their games, I think that you're going to have some interesting tokenomics going into the future.
And I think, those of us who are node holders, and most of us here are, I just see dollar signs, right? So far, the nodes have been pretty favorable to us.
Yeah.
In
Yeah, we're living a good life.
respect of the money that we're making. They've paid themselves off a couple times.
Oh, yes.
Why don't we get back on Star Atlas? Fancy, what else we got there?
We have a couple things. Yeah. You shared this picture. I'm not really sure where you got it from, but I loved it.
Yeah, I found that I was doing something, putting a little art piece together today, and I did Googled Star Atlas ships, and this popped up, and I hadn't seen it before. But Fancy, I think you said this is the ship that they use in the trailer.
Yeah. It had like Floyd written on the side, I believe.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're
Kind of gives me
actually
Fimble vibes, right? Is that the manufacturer?
I think it's a line that hasn't been. I think it's the Floyd line. I think it hasn't been introduced yet.
Yeah. Well, the file name was Pang P Hero Ship. So who knows? Could be a Calico, perhaps.
Is Pang P something we've heard before?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's the artist or something like that.
Oh,
but,
could be.
Yeah. So we also got a video of the making of the Star Atlas trailer by the people who created it this week, and honestly, I like it even more than the trailer. It shows a lot of details and things that I wanted to see. So,
Do you have it here?
yeah, we loaded it up. Yeah. Okay,
I haven't seen this yet.
let's go.
So that just changed my perspective on something there completely, because we were all told, at least it was my understanding, that the trailer was all cinematic, but that looked like a ton of 3D modeling.
Yeah, it did.
The number of polys in those models too is huge. So I'm wondering how much of it was in engine, or maybe it was just a third party production using 3D models as well.
Yeah, but it seems like a lot of extra work for something that you could do more with cinematic drawing rather than having to go through the full scope of 3D models. So that lends towards it being something that could easily be recreated if it wasn't already created in Unreal Engine.
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out to me there is just that video is a hype video, right? You just get hyped for the game after watching it. But how in depth the metaverse is going to be when it's fully realized in Unreal Engine 5, and how many details are hidden from view that you'll never see of some of those spaceships that they spent time placing and thinking where things are going to go, and truly no one will ever know it's there. I think that's amazing.
I love the idea that the modules themselves are going to be 3D designed, because you'll actually be able to go and get a module that then plugs into your ship.
Yeah, and we saw this image on the screen during that video, so this must have been like screen capped from it.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I'm really looking forward to when Unreal Engine 5 comes out with all of this. I mean, have you guys recently seen The Matrix? What are they? The trailers that they recently released, the Xbox trailers, and the graphics with Unreal Engine 5 is just amazing. Like they look like people, right? And they're digital beings, and I can't wait to see how it's done within this game. It's going to be insane. And every time I watch that, I just get even more pumped. Like, I want a movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I didn't know that there was an Unreal Engine version of Matrix. I thought you were talking about the trailer for the newest movie. But the metahumans that's the trailers I've seen for that are pretty amazing. I mean, the emotions, the twitches in their face, and just all these things are just, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, with the Matrix, they literally took Keanu and I believe it's Carrie Ann Moss, and they just replicated them, and they look identical. I mean, they even decreased Keanu's age by 20 years, and it's just it is insane. Like even the shadowing on their faces, and like you can see the pores and stuff. Like they just look so realistic. Like I haven't seen anything like that yet. It's crazy.
Well, when you can do that with Unreal Engine 5, I think there's a lot of young actors who probably better look out, because they're just going to keep recycling these people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was the other funny thing too, is in that they were talking about how now they can just have their digital selves and like film movies with their digital selves now, and never have to actually leave their couch, right? Like they just send their digital self out to go film these movies, because they're all being done in this Unreal Engine 5, and it was a crazy interview. Like it was really cool listening to them talk about that.
So the other part of this whole thing is, if they're able to do this with movies now, then very soon we're going to be able to do that with our own digital selves in the metaverse.
Well, not only that, but then you can't trust anything that you see ever. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You can't
like
trust
deep
anything.
fakes and stuff, right? We already kind of have that going on, but
The
it's only going to
beauty
get better.
The deep fakes, definitely. Those, I mean, and that plays a role in the fact that we've reached this era now where there's no story that can't be told. So for, dating myself, but going back many years, even like with Star Wars and other things, it's kind of like there was a limitation to what movies could actually do. So there's a lot of books and fantastic stories that never made it. That's why I think it took so long to do a proper Lord of the Rings. But we're in a place now where there is no story that can't be told and displayed with absolute realism.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Pansy, I think you've got a few more things on Star Atlas there. Do you got some leaderboard updates?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if you want to watch that trailer or the making of video that's on their website, Hydra Studios. And let's get on to the leaderboards for this week. And,
now, every time I see their trailer, it just gets me more excited.
You have to check it out.
Yeah. And it was quite an interesting week. So Mod and Oni, we both went down in total USD value. but Ooster actually went up during the dip. So and all the like top wallets have been buying as well, which I'm not surprised at. But yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting now that we've got score coming up here. People have to actually get the business done and pick a faction. So these numbers could change pretty dramatically over the next 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to think that people are still buying ships, but just the total value is going down, so it's not really reflected.
Well, Jesse,
But, loads of people are still joining these factions.
yeah. And Jesse, you had said privately that there was some good deals on ships right now. You want to comment on that really quick?
Sure. So if we look at what you're actually going to be compensated on, it's going to be what they're referring to as the VWAP value, which is you take the average price across the different levels of ship drop. So once you've established that is what you're going to be compensated for. And right now, there happens to be a number of ships that are 30% below that amount. For example, where you would normally get the is it the Opal Jet? Is that the smallest of the racers? Mm-hmm. Yeah, where it's normally a $20 ship, you can get it for $13. So if you were just to look at this from what can I get from staking point of view, let's say that you bought $1,000 worth of those ships. You're in essence going to be making almost 40% more than you would because you got that ship at a discount. Because even though you paid less, you're still going to get that average baseline value price. And so instead of 8%, it would be something like 11%, 11.5%, something like that. So yeah, from an investment standpoint, not financial advice for sure, but there are some deals for ships that will give you a better return than if you bought them at the average price.
That's awesome. Anyone else buying any more ships? I think I'm going to plus up my lower end ships, not only for score, but in anticipation of some sort of scholarship program down the line.
Yeah, definitely looking to buy a ship when they release. Torn between all the small fighters, but I'll probably get Chewie or
Yeah, that Chi and the Flight of the Navigator ship, both of those. Oh, and there's 3 that I want out of this last drop. Actually, it's a big drop for me. That
anything else?
Looks amazing, also.
Yeah.
Anything else with Star Atlas?
That was it. Yeah.
All right. Well, before we switch off of Star Atlas, I think it's time to just announce some guild news. We've got Monty, who did his raffle. Successful raffle within the guild over the past couple of weeks, and he's setting up another one for the guild. And we've got old Monty Claus, Xmas Eve, Rome.
That's great.
So he is going to be doing another raffle within the guild for our citizens. Some of us bought tickets on the last one with the intention of him just burning the tickets, just so some people could really get a nice ship. And he's doing it again. He does it for the care he has for his guild members and his citizens. He's running this and helps some people get ships they may not be able to get otherwise. So thanks, Monty, for running another one. I'm sure it will go off great, and we'll announce the winner here on a future podcast.
Yeah, awesome. 2 things before we did move from there was 2 questions that I wanted to address before we moved off from Star Atlas. One of them is, should we expect a UE5 ship showroom in 2022? I would say that's a yes. It is one of the things that is project-wise for Star Atlas that seems to be high on the priority table as the first visual for us to be able to experience in-game. That comes after more, which will be the resource mining release of the mini game. But then the first visual, yes, I expect that we would have that in 2022. The other one was the Magic Man was asking, will these ships be available to buy later at a similar price, or do you guys anticipate they will be more expensive? Well, I think that depends completely on what people experience in the next 4 days as we start ship staking. If people are excited about the return on the rewards, you're going to see ships fly off the shelf, and you're going to see the prices go up.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to do with marketing from Star Atlas as well, right? Because we have other examples of other games, specifically Mirandus, and we'll talk about what the appreciation looks like later. But still a game that's not out, but the assets that are sold out are skyrocketing right now. And a lot of that has to do with the marketing machine that Gala is, right? And they're doing a great job of promoting a game that's not out yet bit by bit, and all of us are seeing some pretty amazing appreciation there. So that if that happens with Star Atlas, you may see some pretty nice success with your ships, and as far as appreciation is concerned.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I mean, you're spot on with that as we make the transition to talking about Gala Game stuff. But people are seeing, like, remember when there was like this insane amount of supply of tents from Mirandus on the market? Like, what are we gonna do with all these tents? You know, a tent right now sells for $1,500 on OpenSea. It's nuts.
Stupid.
It is nuts.
It is so stupid. Yeah.
It's my best $100 purchase of an NFT ever, right?
Like, you don't even spend that on a tent in real life.
No. Well, maybe at like LL Bean or something like that.
Circus tent, maybe.
Yeah.
They're fancy Metaverse tents. Those things are going to be expensive.
Right? Yeah.
If anything describes Gala, circus tent is perfect.
Yeah, they're definitely a circus.
All right. So, Fancy, sorry, what do you got lined up for us?
Well, this happened this week.
That's just nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, for
What
those
was
who
the
don't
original
know-
store price on this?
I think it was like $800.
Yeah, I remember $1,000 homestead was a thing at one
Well,
point.
for sake of this conversation, I bought my homestead at $1,200 on OpenSea. And now, whenever I have to convince my wife that I'm in a good place, this is the picture I show her, right?
Stop yelling at me for buying JPEGs.
Yeah.
I'm really actually earning.
And we have people within Rome who have farming hamlets, and those are over $100,000 now. And I think they bought them down in the $16,000 range. So there's no doubt that Mirandus is a gold mine for people who bought in early. And I know all of us within the Nomads have some level of assets that we're holding because we want the game we want to play the game. I mean, at the end of the day, we want it to be successful. But
Well, that's why I looked into Townstar, was because that Miranda's Vox fiasco that I'm sure we'll probably get into, but I was looking at getting into that because you're supposed to have Townstar utility here soon. So I was like, I have assets that I could be using in Townstar. Why am I not playing this game?
yeah, I don't know if you saw that there, but Azurite said Homestead started at $50.
Oh,
$50 to $32,000. How's that for a return?
And back then, had we known about it, I might have bought like 10 of those for that price.
Yeah.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Mm-hmm.
What else we got, Fancy?
So from the Galacon live stream, we also got some alpha on gameplay from Mirandus. This was just screenshots taken from like people playing before it was like publicly released, and some interesting stuff on the screens.
Yeah, so we finally get to look at that. Do you think that's a Citadel there, or do you think that's something smaller? We finally get a look at some other buildings.
I don't think the Citadel would have wood walls.
Yeah, I would think the Citadel would have to be bigger just because of what they're trying to accommodate with all of the buildings that don't have a spot on the smaller deeds.
What's exciting to me is they seem to have come a long way, right? We've seen the play tests in the past, and we were a little bit dismayed at the quality of the play test. But what I saw in the live stream is the playing seemed pretty smooth. Now, you don't know what computers and servers they're running the game off of, but they have seemed to make some advancements in kind of the environment of the game as well.
Is that cosmetic, though, back there, or could you go in a building?
You could go in. There was people going into
cool.
castles, and we've got some other pictures here that might show some more. Fancy, can you give us another one? All right, so there again, we have another. I mean, if that's not a Citadel, what do you think it is?
It looks like it should be, but like Jesse said, I mean, it doesn't seem large enough space-wise.
For the number of plots that should be inside of it, right?
Right.
All right, so that's the inside of a courtyard, and I think for people who don't know about Mirandus, the art style you're seeing is intended, right? It's not meant to be this realistic looking. It's very Minecrafty looking environment, and they're focusing more on what's underneath it all than what it looks like here.
Yeah, and I found this picture especially interesting since there was no like enemies in the last playtest.
So this thing is giant. So I watched the live stream, and this is an ogre apparently.
Huh.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I would say the character came up to its knee.
Wow.
And
Now what kind of character was it?
I think it was probably a human. It was an exemplar of some sort.
Okay.
And it killed him in 2 shots. So,
Well, that's the interesting thing about first-person perspective, though, because what does that play like if you're just looking at a knee while you're fighting it?
yeah, well, welcome to the early world of MMOs, right? How many tanks sat there looking at a knee of a giant?
As an old World of Warcraft tank, I'll tell you, yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at ankles. So.
So I think that's pretty cool. You know, I'm encouraged to see that there's more coming. There we have another. You know, maybe it's it's not an outpost. I don't know. If that is a citadel, it's underwhelming compared to what we've been expecting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's one of the small cities or something.
Could be.
Yeah. And that's just a wall around it. Yeah. And also the other thing about that courtyard is that I recall the idea being that they wanted these massive areas so that you could see thousands of people on the screen at the same time.
Anything else there?
There isn't any more pictures, but so the Miranda's Fox drop happened this week. Do you want to talk about that?
What a nightmare. I'm done with box drops from Gala.
Yeah.
You know, the first one I can give them a little bit of flack because it was their first big one. They were supposed to learn from it. This time they had huge issues again.
In general, do you feel like they learned anything from the one Vox drop to the next?
Well, I think what they did is they prevented people from writing to the contract. That was the biggest problem with the first one, and the gas war that happened because of it. And this one, they went through a different process where it wasn't really a gas war. It was more just buying something from their store. So I think there was some improvements there, but for a company like Gala not to anticipate the additional server capacity they're going to need for all the people trying to buy these things, and we're stuck here 2 hours. I failed at least 10 times trying to buy a box.
Did you burn a lot of gas fees doing that?
No, they didn't.
You couldn't get that far.
Yeah. Okay. It would spin and spin and spin. And someone after the fact told me what they did differently. Like I would refresh the page when it screwed up. Yeah. And somebody just hit the back button and then back button, go forward, and they got through. But this is now yet another box that I really wanted that I got screwed out of.
I tried a bunch of different approaches.
I was going to buy these.
Yeah, I tried a bunch of different approaches and actually recorded the process because I knew it was going to be another fiasco. And the challenge with it was there was supposed to be 888, so 10% were supposed to be allocated to node holders and Gala Gold. So during that time, I would go all the way to where I was able to get to the order. You enter in your code to be able to confirm the purchase, and then it gives you the red error. So it gets that far. So I can make all the way to that point to where you actually go to the confirmation, error out, error out. So it did that consistently during the 10% window for those that were supposed to be able to get access sooner. From that point on, then the servers were just completely overloaded, and I would get as far in the order process as it would then say, hey, you're almost there. You need to finish creating a wallet. It's like, no, I don't. I already have a wallet. So I started getting that server error. And so part of me has to assume that Gala enjoys the frenzy part of it, because if they didn't, they would know that, what do they have, over 200,000 people in their Discord now? They've got how many node owners? I don't even know how many Gala Gold, but you've got 8,888 of something. The smartest thing to do that makes it a fair process for everyone is just to do some form of lottery. Call it a day, whitelist addresses, and make it a smooth process. The fact that they're not doing that and they know that there's that much competition for it, they're getting something from feeding on the frenzy that happens that makes it look like there's this mass appeal and everyone wants it.
You hit the nail on the head right there. They enjoy the frenzy. This is the reason that, I have friends that, know how long I've been in the Gala, and they're like, oh, I should have got in, and do you think I should get in now? And I'm like, I can't recommend Gala to anybody because Eric Schumacher, the CEO, enjoys the frenzy. We've watched him on podcasts, on live streams while these things are going down, talking about how he should have sold it for double or he should have sold it for more, and he could put any price he wants. And I mean, very predatory.
Did you see him go belligerent?
I did.
Well, I figured we were going to go there in a second because, yeah, him in Discord, like, okay, how many were you just drinking the entire time?
I want to hear it.
He was telling people to F off left and right and saying, "Oh,
Yes.
you're banned, F you, F you."
Oh my god!
So a friend of mine, a real life friend of mine that I work with, that is in a number of projects with me. He's made some money, and I was telling him about this drop, and I was actually going to get into it. So he actually jumped in, got in the Discord, bought Gala Gold, and Eric banned him. He was the first guy to say that he didn't think it was fair that Eric should have 100 boxes, and he mentioned that, not even going in like hard or anything like that. He just kind of said it straight like that, and immediately got banned. And now
Actually, it was so bad that you could only assume that he must have been drinking. I mean, it was that belligerent.
Yeah. Well, and the idea and after that fact, he said something like, is there any reason why the CEO of a company shouldn't have his own product or something like that? I'm thinking, you got 8,888 of these things, and you're sitting here talking about you get 100, but that is not somebody who's leading a successful company, like a positive, successful company.
Well, we'll give you an example of how it could be done different. Like you look at Coin Games, right? And the CEO of Coin Games does hold a lot of those avatars, but he actually bought them off of the secondary market. He's buying the floor of his own project, and that's what. I mean, any multimillionaire CEO of an organization, that's what you do. You buy the floor. that's how you up your entire project. What are you doing?
But if we get away from the CEO for a second and we just talk about NFT drops in general, there's this belief out there that this process is like a rite of passage, like getting screwed over on an NFT drop.
For sure.
And maybe Ash, maybe you have some thoughts because you're in the NFT space as well. And do you have any thoughts about how people think, well, if you got screwed over, that's just the way it is, and you got to accept that?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I feel like everybody that I know has at least been rugged once, if not twice. I think it's just we're so early in this space that there's still so many things that they're trying to figure out. I know in the Solana ecosystem, there's been some like botting issues with the NFT launches that have been causing some havoc. But yeah, there's definitely things that you need to be careful with in the NFT space. There's a lot of rugs out there. So, always do your own research on and it gets kind of hard because a lot of these teams aren't doxed, right? And I think that makes it really difficult to vet the project that you're trying to get involved with. I don't know, for me personally right now, I've just kind of taken a step back and I'm in the NFT space because there's so much like uncertainty and like we've had a big botting issue recently in the Solana space with the NFT projects. And I think that it's just super oversaturated right now too, with all of these like projects popping up left and right and all over the place. But I definitely think getting rugged at least once or twice is a rite of passage. And it's really cool too, when, you get into an NFT project and then the devs leave the project. That's always fun too. But it's like how, it's kind of like the Wild West, like how crypto was like the last cycle. You didn't know what was going, what you were getting into. And now I feel like it's the NFT cycle where it's a little bit more of the Wild West, at least in the newer ecosystems. I'm not too much in Ethereum. I have a couple Ethereum NFTs, but I'm more so in like the Solana ecosystem. And I love it, but you just be careful.
Yeah, you make a good point there. I think Banjo liked it a few months ago when I was saying that NFTs in 2021 are basically it's basically just very similar to the ICO boom of 2017, and yeah, like Gary Vee says, 98% of these projects are going to go to zero.
Yeah,
you got to be careful.
For sure, and a lot of them are right now, so a lot of them are pretty illiquid.
I am trying to bring up. Somebody sent me the thing here. I'm gonna upload this. What was actually said, just so people know we're not being hyperbolic. This is the CEO of Gala.
Yeah.
Right.
That's crazy.
You gotta love it when he tells his community, "So fuck off."
Right? I mean,
what are you doing? What are you doing?
It's like the spoiled bully kid in high school or something.
Yeah.
It's mine. I can do what I want.
Well, if they ever go public, you can be sure a board is not going to tolerate that type of behavior.
That's an incredible way to build a bond with your community, right? Go F off, guys.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Blows me away.
You put him beside Michael Wagner, right? And it's like it's night and day.
Night and day.
But I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I got into Gala off of Bitbender. Because if I'd have known about Eric Schumacher, I wouldn't have had a node, and there's a whole lot of money I would have left on the table if I'd have been buying from Eric Schumacher directly. There's no way I'd be in there.
Yeah, it's one of those things now where I have to take the devil with the angels, right? Because we know this guy is narcissistic, and we know he's a jerk. But man, I'm making good money off my Gala. It's so hard. It's so hard not to.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
Yeah, I'm so happy he's an asshole, right? All right, so we got some other things from that convention that came out. We had some announcements of some new games. We had Legacy, which was kind of a business simulator being built by, I think it's Will Wright. Or no, that was Peter Molyneux who is doing Legacy. And for those who don't know, Peter Molyneux is like a total OG gamer, developer. I have a feeling he has the Midas touch in this space, and this game is going to be big. I think a lot of the complaints I heard is that people thought it was Townstar 2.0 by watching it, and how is it going to compete with Townstar, which is a farm simulator essentially, to this, which is a huge business simulator.
Yeah.
Then there was some other announcements. I'm trying to find my notes here.
Will Wright, I think it is, the creator of The Sims. He is, I think they announced that he is going to be creating the Voxverse. That's going to be curious. That's going to be interesting.
So you said Vox as in like Miranda's voxels, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Voxverse, I think it has a lot of potential if people could ever get Voxes, right? So right now, there's 16,000 boxes in existence. A game, a Voxverse isn't going to do anything if it only has 16,000 people in it, right? So they have to find some way to get more people into Voxverse, and maybe do something a little bit better with their Vox drops. There was also this didn't come from the Galaverse thing, but there was some changes to the dragons that are being sold. For those who don't know, there was a series of dragon vouchers. You could buy 10 of them. And the idea is you combine those to create a dragon pet familiar. Now they've since changed directions on their dragons, and they've reduced the number from 10,000 down to 2,500 with the explanation that what they're going to do is too good for there to be 10,000 of them. So the price of the dragon voucher shot up. And for those of us who have some extra dragon vouchers, Dragon 1 of 10, it went from like $200 to $6,000.
Yeah.
I had a full set. Anybody else have a set of those?
I bought the 4 remaining cards in the Gala store the day they pulled them. So I got them literally the same day, and then later they announced they're pulling them. They were gone.
Awesome.
So I have a full set now. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that gets announced what they're going to do with them. I have an extra 1 of 10. If anyone wants to trade that for a Miranda's Vox, I'm more than willing to do it.
It's actually probably not a bad trade, to be honest.
Well, I think if
the box right now is going for like 3 ETH, so it's not quite there yet. Yeah,
crazy. But those dragons, if they're as good as they say, they have the potential to skyrocket in value. I think
it'll be a 15 to 20 ETH dragon, easy.
Yeah, I hope so. Man, do I hope so. We also had some announcements about spider tanks, and they kind of announced their play to earn model within spider tanks for Galaverse. There's now going to be worlds and lands, and people will be able to make money on the worlds or lands or maps that they own. There's also going to be some level of farming and production and crafting. So they took it from a Moab, kind of just a battle, to creating a full-fledged ecosystem. It's not my game style, so I probably won't be included. Is anyone else going spider tanks?
I sold my legendary chicken.
Did you?
Yep.
I'm reevaluating Gala now. So now that, like I said, I did the dive into Townstar last week, and it actually is play to earn. they actually have what seems to be a healthy economy building. So now I'm going to start looking at the other games that they have more seriously. So Spider Tanks is now back on the radar, whereas before I wasn't confident that they were going to have play to earn mechanics in Spider Tanks. Now I'm starting to think that they probably will, because they're probably going to utilize this Gala power situation across all their games.
So the Gala power thing, we talked about this a bit earlier. So there is the amount of tokens that you hold, and there's the amount of earnable or NFTs that have the ability to earn that are supposed to have an impact on your Gala power. And I've seen mine fluctuate, go up and down. For instance, I have a boatload of exemplars. The exemplars are about to be earnable because you're about to be able to get Materium. So now will that also put your exemplars into the category of earnable NFTs that impact your Gala power? I should, but I'm curious if that will actually come to pass.
Hopefully.
No idea. My Gala power fluctuates also, but that's because I'm continually dumping their tokens. Right? so
Yeah, same.
So now I'm in a situation where I'm like, okay, maybe I'll start holding them longer, and so that's going to change. I haven't noticed that I get any kind of significant Gala power from holding NFTs. You probably have a lot more than me, so I'm not sure if you have a lot when you don't have any Gala coin at all or any town coin at all. Do you still have a lot of Gala power?
Well, I haven't watched it close enough.
So I'm pretty sure it's the amount of Gala and other coins you have. Town coin adds up your Gala power, and your Gala power number is how many earnable NFTs you can put on the map. So if you have Gala power 1, you can only put 1 NFT that earns.
Right.
If you have Gala power 5, you can put 5 NFTs on the map to earn.
Yep.
So that's only Townstar related NFTs now, because that's the only functional.
It's the only play to earn ecosystem they actually have right now. And so, but I haven't noticed that you get any kind of extra Gala power from holding NFTs. I just know that you get it from holding the crypto.
Yeah, I'm not selling Gala anymore. I sold 100,000 to buy a different node outside of Gala, and that tanked. And that Gala would have been worth $70,000 at some point. So I'm just going to hold on to it for a while and see what they do. There was an additional announcement, and I think a lot of people were waiting for this at Galaverse, of a play to earn AAA first person shooter type game. And this game, I'm a Destiny player. I've played it in the past. I'm also a first person shooter gamer from the past. So this one gave me a lot of good vibes. I've got the video here for people to watch. So that was, I'm just going to go right to the throwback. How many people do you think really understand that little blowing on the cartridge
I love
thing?
that, man. It made me laugh so hard when I saw that.
Only old school Nintendo players know the pain that was, right? And Ash, I didn't know they picked you as a model for that last scene there.
Yes, that's my future metaverse self.
A couple of interesting observations about that. So it looked like there was a form of capture the flag being played there, and there looked like there was some PvP because those some of those that had red health bars didn't look like they were NPCs or anything. So you had the actual combat of monsters, but then it also looked like there was some PvP element going there for a capture the flag kind of game.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, the people who are making this game created Call of Duty, they created Halo, I think they've done some Diablo stuff. So, this is not a company that is just coming out of the woodwork. And if you think about the first-person shooter and the stuff that we saw from Gala, where they were building it internally, Faster, I think it's called, it looked pretty basic and boring. If this is successful and does well, this could bring a lot of people into the blockchain gaming space. And I can't wait to see, what the mechanics are for play to earn in this game.
Well, that's the thing right there, is that whenever I look to what they're creating, it seems like in this particular instance, one way they could do it, it could be that you're using the marketplace to buy gear and equipment. Mm-hmm. You might also be able to find gear and equipment in the space, so there wouldn't be a need for crafting in that type of economy. And then perhaps you're earning to play based on time spent in the game, or like even the capture the flag model. But it would be very different than we would see in like a WoW crafting. So first-person shooter is probably going to be a little bit different in how you actually make it play to earn and what you do with the economy. The economy is probably going to be centered around a marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I showed this to my brother, and he's a huge first-person shooter player, and he was talking about how many skins and guns he's earned over time that were rare that he couldn't do anything with. So if they have that same mechanic in this game, the idea of being able to sell your super skin of some weapon or your character, I think that really draws in the Fortnite crowd or the PUBG crowd, those people who really like those cosmetics.
Yeah, I watched this last night. Someone shared it on Twitter. I think it was PG shared it on Twitter last night. Mm-hmm. And I was incredibly excited. And I was showing it to a 14-year-old, and they were incredibly excited about it too. Like, there was a group of them, and they were just so like, oh my gosh, this is like the games that we're playing right now. And I think that this will have a huge appeal to the younger audiences too, because this is what they're playing currently, right? With with Destiny, with their Call of Duties, Gears of War, all this stuff that they're playing currently. And I think Fortnite. I think that this thing's pretty awesome. I don't know. I got excited about it when I watched it. It brought me back.
So that's an interesting thing. So like for me, I'm more in the strategy games. I'm not really big on first-person shooters, but I know of some really awesome young first-person shooters, and so I could see sponsoring a league, actually bringing on scholars that way, some folks to play of some things that I might set up. I might, buy whatever, and who knows, maybe they'll have avatars. Maybe that's the first entry point. Like in a game like that, what do you think will be the first NFTs to sell? Like, what would they sell for that?
For me, it seems like it'd be cosmetics, but I would love to see, once you go into stuff outside of cosmetics, it becomes pay to win. Right. But at the same time, we know Gala has already said that they're okay with pay to win. Like, this is something they've said in the past.
That's the thing about Gala, is they're not play to earn. They're actually pay to earn is their model.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And this is a dev company that probably has their own expectations about these types of games too. So how much, leverage do they have coming in and saying, hey, we're bringing this to you, but this is what we will do and this is what we won't do. And I have to believe they're doing their market research about the non-blockchain gaming space, about what they would take. As most of you know, we saw that Ubisoft announcement recently, and that got a lot of negative pushback from the community about going into the NFT space. So And I think Ubisoft backed off on some things as well. Does anybody have any updates on that?
They had a video that came out that just got it got like over 25,000 negative, not comments, but the thumbs down on it, that they eventually unlisted. They made it non-public. You could still find it by the link somewhere. But I think it's a combination of their approach and also their history in the gaming space. There were some people that have some bad blood with Ubisoft over past events.
Well, I got everything started. I got the wallet built, and you have to buy the game. So it's a $30 game. I just haven't had time to play it yet, and you have to get to level 5 to actually get the NFTs. So as I start to get into it, I've got a lot on my plate this month, but as I start to get into it, I can give some updates because this is one of the first big developers, traditional AAA developers that seems like they're willing to get into the space.
And they were kind of they kind of created the incubator space for Axie to start.
Oh, they did. What's the relationship there?
Just that. I guess it was like an incubator that they had back in there. They assisted, they advised, something like that in the very early days of Axie.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Why do you think there's so much pushback from the gaming community? I mean, because I was surprised because I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, this is awesome, because you're hearing like a lot of the big legacy houses starting to talk about like NFT gaming is the future. I know I've heard EA and Epic say that they're not ready to jump in yet, but when you hear them start to talk about it, usually when there's smoke, there's fire. So that means they're thinking about it and they could possibly be working on these things in the background. We just don't know about it, right? I'm just curious, like, why do you think that the gaming community was so upset about it? Is it just that I know they were saying they feel that it could be a cash grab, or the one that drives me crazy is the energy efficiency of NFTs and that kind of stuff. Like that just like nuts. But like I just don't get it. Is it just that maybe the mainstream public really isn't ready for this technology yet, or?
Well, I think blockchain to the average person is a little bit scary, right? Mm-hmm. All of us have our onboarding process into crypto, and it's not an easy thing to navigate. You have to figure a lot of stuff out or lean into other people. So I think there's that piece of it. And then there's also people who are used to paying, $60 for a game and getting all their value out of it, and they don't want to spend more money than that. And Fancy, I think I jumped on you. Sorry, man.
Yeah, another reason was why people didn't like it. You can see numbers on these like headgears and guns, and that was pretty much like the only unique part about it. You'd get like a unique number.
Gotcha.
And,
oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't really even an NFT because it's still like connected to a centralized service where you can get shut down. So it's literally just like a unique number.
Oh, so it's not even an NFT. It's just an app.
Gamers didn't like it. Crypto people didn't like it.
It's kind of it's kind of like a big.
That makes a little more sense now.
It's like the big gamer coming into the space saying, "Hey, we want to be NFT too," and it was a lame effort and approach, and everyone's like, "Ooh!"
And people were like, "No, I don't think so." That makes so much more sense because I was trying to look into it. I'm like, why is the community so upset about this? But that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But there was another big company going into crypto this week. That was Pepsi doing their Genesis NFT mint. I believe you just had to spend like the minting or transaction cost to get it. But
I didn't get into this one too much. Is there any utility to these NFTs?
I think it's just name brand microphones.
Yeah, I'm done buying art. I mean, if it doesn't have utility anymore, I'm not buying it. So I know people really like the PFP stuff and the avatars, but I've only got so much money to spend, and the money I spend, I want it to give back to me.
Yeah, that's kind of where I started. Like, I need utility, so I missed Bored Apes and Kongs and all that because I didn't get it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they're ultimately just like, cool little PFPs. I will say that there are some cool NFT projects out there. I know like Time Magazine, for example, is doing this really cool one where you're buying a piece of art from an artist, right? And it's dedicated to this certain time in history or whatever, but they're actually like giving you experiences that come along with them, right? They just did one with Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones, and they're making them for brain damage awareness, but the people who actually bought these NFTs, they then got to go to a private AMA with Amelia Clark and Deepak Chopra. So you're seeing more of that pop up in the NFT space, right? I know Des Bryant is doing that as well, where he created an NFT project and he's trying to get other athletes and retired athletes in, and they're selling experiences. So he was giving away, like, you buy his NFT and it's a package, and you can then go to his private suite at the Cowboy Stadium and watch a game with him, or go to his party afterwards. So
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, there's a lot more communities for sure being created around it, and I like that concept. We've talked about this on a past show where Tom Bilyeu of Impact Theory, where you can access his content, his university, of all of the content that he's created, and plus all the other things he's doing. So I like the projects that have the utility, and that utility could be anything. It could be like seats at a stadium. It could be access to community content. See, that part to me is exciting, and I think that is one of the things that's driving sustainable growth and creating NFTs that are not only holding their value, but the floor continues to increase because people want to be a part of that. It's not just about the art NFT itself.
No, I think that's the true, like, future of the NFT space, is that you know, when people start realizing that you can utilize them to sell experiences and grow the community, I think once like actors and stuff like that realize that, like, it's going to be even bigger, right? Imagine, like, I don't know, if you're buying a NFT and then you get a private conversation with your favorite actor or something, you know, like, there are people that will pay so much money for that kind of stuff.
Well, one that was interesting, and so a friend of mine that lives on St. Thomas he shared me this. I had to sign this NDA to be able to see this information on this island that's going up for sale. And I'm not really in the market to buy an island, but then I thought to myself, well, wouldn't that be pretty cool to create Island DAO? And, you know, and people that, hey, you know, the idea of, hey, you could actually own part of an island. Wouldn't that be cool? And then you could have governance that could figure out what you would do with it and how you would use it. So things, NFTs and DAOs and the whole concept of blockchain in that capacity is really creating new opportunity for it to be used in new, interesting ways.
That was a nice alpha you just dropped on us, Jesse, because now you just said it, that the future of timeshares is in.
That's what I was thinking.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Timeshare DAO.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
So we bounced off of Miranda's, and we had a couple more things there. I don't know if you had anything else to show, but I wanted to talk about Materium.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So for those of you that don't know, the next server test for Miranda's is going to be where you're out collecting Materium. And so that raised the question, what is Materium? There's a bunch of lore that's out there. And supposedly it's going to be the magic component that's going to enable crafting and maybe even spell casting. And it's not quite clear exactly what its purpose and use it will be. But the thing that started becoming interesting, at least to me, was I started thinking for a moment, well, wouldn't it be cool if it was Materium was like mana, traditional mana that we know in like most, you know, in WoW and other MMORPGs, but it became tokenized? That would be pretty cool if you could actually. And so then we did find out that it is. Eric, you know, did, as benefactor in the Discord there, did say that Materium was going to be a token. But the question is will it become the main token, which I hope it doesn't. I'd love to see it stay its own thing, like for magic use, because otherwise that'd be a weird way to collect money and go around collecting orbs in this world. So this new server test, it's going to be these glowing orbs. You go collect them. The more avatars you have, so this is where it ties into Gala marketing, is like they're probably, how do we sell more? How do we sell the rest of these avatars?
They sold out.
Yeah. Well, they didn't. If you go and look on chain, they still hold a ton in their wallets. They just pull them off the market. But I did. I myself, since I lost out on all of the box drop stuff and I had the Gala sitting there, I'm like, let me scoop up a bunch of these cartographers so that I could make use in this server test, because the more exemplars you have, I guess you cycle in. But then after I did that, I started thinking to myself, how much time do I have? Because if you let's say it takes you 20 minutes to go in and complete all you can gather with one avatar, I would probably be there for 28 hours trying to do all this. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works. I'd much rather it be like ship staking. They look at the total avatars in your wallet, and that's how much you can go and collect.
I think the Metaverse Nomads need to put out a Kickstarter for your mental health fund after that.
Right. So what do you guys think of the Materium concept?
I like the idea of mana being tokenized. I think it's unique. It's something we haven't seen in other games.
Yep.
I'm optimistic about it. I'm on Bonafide's side. I'm starting to see more and more good things come from the games, despite the leadership. And this sounds like it might have some good legs, especially as node holders. If this is something that we're getting distributed to nodes, and we get to build up this mana, it gives us a competitive advantage in the game.
Yeah.
So here I go going the other way again, because it makes me nervous the amount of things they find to sell. And yes, everything that Gala has put out, if you bought it, that was a win. I don't know of anything that they've put out that was a bad investment. But at the same time, they come out with Materium, and that turns into a token. We still don't have an actual currency. Going back to what Jesse's saying, if we don't use that as the Miranda's in-game token, they have to come out with another token. So now we got 2 tokens out of this game plus Gala, right? And these are all cash grabs for the developers, right? On top of all the NFT sales, on top of all the predatory history, I would like them to stop selling things. I really would.
I don't like the idea of like you got to buy down to the boots and the boot polish and the laces, and it does feel like their model for sure. But as Banjo mentioned, the idea of the uniqueness, if they really did go this route with a tokenized mana, and I think that a game could really do that not only with mana, but with resources that are such high commodity, like an ore or something like that, because then it I think that even on chain, is probably an easier process to manage than having it all be NFT out like that when you have 1,000 or 10,000 of something. So I think that concept has legs to be able to look at resources like that and say like, hey, you know what? If a person is a Magic user, they can actually go and buy pools of mana to be able to cast their spells. Or if you're a crafter that's creating enchanted items or potions, you can go and buy the resource of mana in the form of a token. So I think it's a cool concept I've never seen it anywhere before.
I think for the challenge there.
For a company that has go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say, I think real quick, the challenge there for, I guess, the non-Magic user player versus the Magic user player is what I'm hearing is that the Magic user player would have to go and buy their gameplay, right? In order to plus up their unless there's a small residual growth of your mana over time, replenishment, if you will. But otherwise, you're having to go and buy it. Whereas maybe the fighter, if you will, unless they have to use mana as well, isn't having to do the same thing.
Well, we saw the actual scale there. You're going to have energy. You're going to have, what were the 3? It's been so long, I forgot what they are, but they don't even use the traditional mana and HP system. They do have your health, but it was health, energy, and the heck is the other one? There was 3.
There were 3, yeah.
Anyone know in the comments there what that other one is? Because there isn't mana. And then the lore has changed over time. We were originally told that Magic was going to be something really, really scarce. You really wouldn't see it that often. Now we're collecting Materium, which is going to be used for crafting. And so it seems like it's going to be a major component. So that's kind of
what I think about Gala. Yeah. They come out with something that you can buy, and that's going to be if they start selling Magic, there's going to be a lot of it.
Yeah.
That's who they are.
I think one of the other things we should share in relation to Gala before we close out the day is if you are a node holder, there's an expectation that you update your node by January. You stand to get more Gala earned if you're up for 24 hours versus just being up for the 6-hour minimum that they have now. So please go make sure you update your node. That way you're maximizing your earnings.
And human nature suggests that there's going to be a lot of people that won't even get this message, that aren't even thinking about it. And so that means that there's likely to be higher distribution for those that do, because it'll be going to fewer people.
All right. Well, thank you, Ash, for joining us. We've got, again, our special guest, HippoCryptic, on Twitter. She is ashes_ls. Any other things you want to offer or what you're working on, Ash, that you want to share before we close out the day?
I I have some cool things kind of in the works, but I can't really say anything about them right now. So,
Okay.
but
How often do you hold your Twitter spaces? I've never even been on one.
Oh, you haven't? I'm
So
sorry.
how often do you
I
do
tried
that?
to invite Rome. Maybe I just tagged. I thought I tagged you guys in the
You,
last
you,
one.
you invited us. We just haven't
You
always
do.
been able to make them.
You do. We don't
Yeah,
always.
I know
they're
it's
not
kind of
very-
hard. So I'm trying to alternate them right now with the town halls, since we've been having the town halls every other week at this point. We've been holding them on the Fridays that we don't have them. For Thanksgiving, we held one on a Wednesday, but that was just because of the holidays. But so we've had 4 now, and let's see. Santi usually comes and hosts with me. I think the next one I don't know when the next one exactly is going to be, just because of the holidays. I'm gonna have to see how it plays out. But yeah, they are usually at 10 p.m. UTC on the Fridays that we don't have a town hall was the plan. But I'll put out a notice for the next one, because I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do that with the holidays, because I think the next like Fridays are Christmas Eve and then New Year's Eve coming up pretty soon. So we'll see. But yeah, so I like to have the guilds on there. I like to hear what you guys are all building. And like, it's really cool because everybody just kind of connects with each other. And then if there's any updates that they have going on, you guys just give a brief little update of stuff that you're working on that you want to share publicly. And then we have, we brought up people for questions and that kind of stuff. And I think the last one we had over 200 people show up, which was pretty
Awesome.
impressive for a Twitter space. Like, that's a pretty good sized Twitter space.
Nice.
And like I said, sometimes we've had special guests pop in. We've had Keith Grossman, president of Time Magazine, pop in and chat with us. And yeah, they're pretty cool. I like Twitter spaces. Have you guys ever thought about doing Twitter spaces like this?
I haven't. And when you say he popped in, is that because somehow he was just scanning like, hey, let's go and check out all the trending Twitter spaces, and that's how he found you?
I guess that's what he said. He said he had recently spoken with someone who he, really believes his opinion on things, and he was mentioning Star Atlas, and he just happened to see that we had a Star Atlas chat going on, and he popped in. And he had asked a question just on Twitter, and I had saw that. And so I asked his question to the guilds, and then he requested to speak. And so he came up and he's like, well, I'm assuming you must have saw my question. And so then we just had this great 20, 30-minute conversation with him. And it was really cool. And it's cool too, because you never know the contacts that you're going to make from these spaces, right? Like I've been chatting with him off and on since then now. And so I never would have thought that I would have met the president of Time Magazine and have built a rapport with him. So it's really awesome.
And it's more transparent than just a random name on Discord too, since they're logged in with their Twitter handle.
Absolutely. And what's cool is he's actually getting involved in the project. I think he didn't join Equinox, but he's in the Equinox Discord server. And just to kind of see how things have been going on. I know he said he recently spoke with Mike, and he's really, really interested in the building, what Star Atlas is building. So it's really cool.
Stands to reason from a leadership perspective. He's looking at metaverses from the Time Magazine perspective too, right?
Yeah.
How do they fit into the metaverse space? So maybe he's looking and investigating there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think he's really big into the NFT and metaverse space. I believe he used to work for Wired and then Bloomberg prior to this. But so he's really, and I think what they're doing is they're trying to revamp Time and make it a little bit more modern day.
I'm a longtime Wired reader, so I like that magazine.
Yeah, I have Wired too.
So Ash, maybe next time, maybe you can come on soon and tell us what you're working on that you can't talk about.
Okay, definitely. I will. I have some meetings coming up that I'm kind of excited about, and we'll see where they go.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations to your success.
Thank you. This was awesome. I'm happy that I came on. I finally got to come on and chat with you guys. This is great. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, you're always welcome. And I think to the rest of the Metaverse Nomads podcast listeners, thank you for joining us on yet another week of us strolling around the metaverse. Feel free to join us every week. We're here at 10 a.m. PST. 1 or 6 of us will always be here to entertain you and talk about what's going on as we discuss our favorite play to earn metaverse games. Have a great day. We'll talk to you all soon.
Very cool.
Are you ready for the next evolution in gaming? Blockchain games are here. Why just play when you can play to earn? Enter the Star Atlas Metaverse with Rome. Star Atlas is a grand strategy game of space exploration, territorial conquest, political domination, and so much more. Rome is a premier guild of the Oni faction within Star Atlas. Rome is here to play and to earn. Want to take part in the action? Rome is accepting new citizens. Join the Rome Guild on Discord to learn more at gorome.io.